The ocean never truly sleeps, and neither do the animals that depend on its surface for every breath. But few creatures embody this restless tension between vulnerability and control as completely as the dolphin. From above, the sea may look calm and forgiving, a rolling blue plain that promises endless space and freedom. Yet for an air-breathing hunter living in a three-dimensional world of depth, darkness, and constant motion, rest is not a luxury that can be surrendered to instinct. It is a problem that must be solved every single day. Dolphins do not collapse into unconsciousness the way land mammals do, because for them, breathing is not an automatic reflex that takes over when the mind drifts away. Each breath is a deliberate act, a conscious decision to rise, open the blowhole, inhale, and return to the hunt. To fall fully asleep would be to gamble with suffocation, and evolution has never rewarded gamblers for long. This constraint has shaped the dolphin brain in a way that still unsettles neuroscientists, because it operates by a rule set that feels almost like a biological exploit, a way of cheating a system that should not allow both rest and vigilance at the same time. Dolphins practice unihemispheric sleep, a condition in which one half of the brain enters a slow-wave resting state, while the other half remains active, alert, and fully capable of controlling movement, sensory awareness, and breathing. There is no dramatic shutdown, no collapse into darkness. Instead, rest creeps in asymmetrically, like a dimmer switch turned down on only one side of the mind. The awake hemisphere keeps the animal swimming, keeps it aligned with the pod, and most critically keeps track of the surface, while the resting hemisphere recovers cell by cell, neuron by neuron, preparing for the next shift. This division of labor is not abstract or theoretical. It is visible on the dolphin's face. When one hemisphere sleeps, the opposite eye often closes, while the eye linked to the active hemisphere remains open, scanning the water column for movement, light changes, or the shadow of a potential threat. It is an eerie sight when observed closely, because it looks less like sleep and more like a controlled partial shutdown, as if the animal has chosen to power down only what it can afford to lose. This asymmetry allows dolphins to continue swimming forward in slow, steady arcs, maintaining position in the group while conserving energy. The body remains in motion, not because the dolphin is restless, but because stopping entirely would mean sinking, drifting, or becoming unpredictable prey in an environment where stillness often signals weakness. The ocean is filled with predators that exploit moments of vulnerability, and for a dolphin, vulnerability is most acute near the surface. Surfacing to breathe creates noise, movement, and a predictable pattern that can be tracked by sharks and other large hunters. Fully unconscious sleep would turn every breath into a risk, a delayed response, a fraction of a second too slow. Unihemispheric sleep solves this by ensuring that reaction time never fully disappears. The awake hemisphere monitors the timing of surfacing, adjusts swimming speed, and maintains awareness of pod members, while the resting hemisphere slips into recovery without exposing the animal to catastrophic blind spots. This is not a passive adaptation. It is an active survival strategy that reshapes how dolphins interact with their environment even when they are not hunting. Pods often sleep while swimming slowly in formation, a behavior known as logging or traveling rest, where individuals maintain loose alignment and synchronized movement. This collective motion reduces drag, stabilizes swimming patterns, and creates a shared awareness bubble in which multiple sets of open eyes scan overlapping zones of water. In this state, dolphins are not unconscious passengers drifting through the sea. They are sentries on rotation, each individual contributing partial awareness to a distributed surveillance network that never fully powers down. The metabolic implications of this system are significant. The dolphin brain is large, energetically expensive, and highly specialized for processing acoustic information through echolocation. Even during rest, the awake hemisphere continues to manage sonar input, interpreting echoes from clicks that bounce off distant objects, terrain, and moving animals. This means that dolphins do not simply sleep through the ocean, they listen to it, mapping it in fragments, updating their understanding of the space around them, even as parts of the brain recover. Rest becomes a sliding window rather than a fixed state, and recovery is spread across time rather than compressed into a single vulnerable block. This unusual sleep architecture also reflects the demands of thermoregulation in water, which pulls heat from the body far more efficiently than air. Dolphins maintain a high, stable body temperature through a combination of insulation, blood flow control, and continuous muscular activity. Full muscular relaxation, like that seen in deep sleep on land, would rapidly increase heat loss, forcing the animal to expend more energy to warm itself back up. By remaining partially active, dolphins maintain a baseline of muscle tone and circulation that supports thermal stability, allowing rest without thermal debt. In this way, unihemispheric sleep supports not only respiration and vigilance, but also energy efficiency in a physically unforgiving medium. Calves introduce an even more extreme version of this system. Newborn dolphins and their mothers often go weeks without what researchers would classify as traditional sleep, instead engaging in continuous slow swimming with brief alternating rest phases. The calf must surface frequently to breathe, lacks fully developed blubber insulation, and depends on the mother's movement to maintain position and protection. During this period, unihemispheric sleep becomes a shared burden, with the mother adjusting her rest patterns to support the calf's constant needs. This early exposure to fragmented rest may be essential for calibrating the dolphin brain to its lifelong operating mode, training it to recover under motion, awareness, and noise, rather than silence and stillness. The evolutionary pathway to this system likely involved incremental shifts rather than a single dramatic leap. Early cetaceans transitioning from land to water faced the immediate challenge of reconciling air breathing with aquatic life. Those individuals that could maintain partial awareness during rest would have had a survival advantage, avoiding drowning, responding faster to threats, and staying connected to social groups. Over time, neural mechanisms supporting hemispheric independence would have been reinforced, resulting in the refined, switch-like system seen in modern dolphins. What appears to us as a cheat code is, in reality, the result of relentless selection pressure acting on every vulnerable moment. This form of sleep also reframes how intelligence is expressed in dolphins. Their reputation for problem-solving, social complexity, and apparent curiosity often leads to comparisons with human cognition. But unihemispheric sleep highlights a different axis of intelligence, one rooted in continuous situational management rather than abstract reflection. Dolphins do not retreat from their environment to recover. They adapt recovery to fit the environment. Their minds are built to negotiate trade-offs in real time, sacrificing the comfort of total unconsciousness for the safety of perpetual readiness. Even during rest, dolphins remain embedded in the sensory fabric of the ocean. The awake hemisphere tracks subtle changes in water pressure, temperature gradients, and acoustic clutter, all of which can signal shifts in prey movement or predator presence. This sensitivity allows dolphins to wake fully in seconds if conditions change, transitioning seamlessly from patrol to pursuit. There is no groggy confusion, no lag between rest and action. The brain simply reallocates resources, bringing the resting hemisphere back online as the other powers down, a neural relay race that can continue for hours. The irony is that this constant vigilance does not appear to exhaust dolphins in the way it would exhaust a land mammal forced into fragmented sleep. Their neural architecture is tuned for it, with sleep pressure accumulating locally rather than globally, allowing specific regions to recover without dragging the entire system offline. This challenges traditional assumptions about sleep as an all-or-nothing state, and suggests that rest, at least in some animals, can be modular, distributed, and context-dependent. As night falls over the open ocean and light drains from the surface, dolphins continue their slow, deliberate movement, eyes alternating between open and closed, brains trading shifts beneath smooth gray skin. To an untrained observer, they appear awake, active, alive with motion. In truth, half of each mind is resting, repairing, and preparing for whatever the water brings next. They are not sleeping in the way land animals sleep, they are maintaining watch. This is the core of the dolphin survival strategy, a solution forged by the demands of breathing air in a world that never pauses, a world where stopping is often more dangerous than moving. Dolphins sleep like they live, alert, adaptive, and always on patrol, proving that in the ocean, rest is not an escape from danger, but another way of managing it. Near the surface of the open ocean, where light still filters down in diluted sheets and the boundary between air and water remains within reach, something monumental occasionally pauses its horizontal dominance and turns upright. A shape rises not with motion, but with stillness. A colossal body aligned vertically beneath the waves, head up, tail down, as if the sea itself has decided to grow a living pillar. This is not a hunt, not a dive, not a display of power. It is rest. The sperm whale, the largest toothed predator ever to exist, sometimes sleeps standing on end. To encounter this posture in the wild is to confront how little the ocean reveals about the private lives of its giants. Sperm whales spend most of their existence moving horizontally through the water column, slicing through depth and darkness with purpose, but during short rest bouts they abandon that familiar orientation and drift vertically just below the surface, their massive square heads angled toward the light, blowholes hovering within easy reach of air. From a distance, the silhouettes resemble floating towers or submerged statues, immense bodies suspended in a quiet truce with gravity and buoyancy. There is no dramatic movement, no breach or fluke slap, only slow drift and gentle rotation, as if the animal has temporarily disengaged from the forward momentum that defines its life. This behavior remained undocumented for centuries, not because it was rare, but because it is subtle, brief, and easy to miss in an environment where observation itself is a technical challenge. Sperm whales spend much of their lives far from shore, diving to extreme depths in pursuit of squid, often remaining submerged for long stretches before surfacing briefly to breathe. Their rest does not occur in obvious places or for extended durations, and it does not resemble the sleep of land mammals lying down in predictable locations. It took modern tagging technology, careful photography, and patient observation to confirm that these vertical drifts were not moments of illness, disorientation, or death, but intentional, repeated rest states shared by multiple individuals. The whales enter these vertical naps for short periods, often on the order of 10 to 15 minutes, before resuming active swimming or diving. This brevity is not incidental. Like all cetaceans, sperm whales are air breathers in a fluid world that never pauses, and unconsciousness carries inherent risk. Although their exact sleep architecture remains partially mysterious, evidence suggests that sperm whales, like other cetaceans, do not surrender full control of breathing or posture for extended periods. The vertical orientation allows the whale to remain in a breathable zone, minimizing the energy required to surface while maintaining enough awareness to respond if conditions change. A slight upward drift brings the blowhole into the air. A minimal muscular adjustment triggers a breath, and the animal can sink back into its suspended state without the exertion of active swimming. From a physical perspective, the posture makes elegant sense. Sperm whales are built around an enormous head, dominated by the spermaceti organ, a waxy, oil-filled structure that plays a role in echolocation and buoyancy. This head-heavy anatomy means that when movement slows and propulsion stops, the body naturally tends toward a vertical alignment, with the head rising and the tail sinking. Rather than fighting this tendency, the whale exploits it, allowing buoyancy and mass distribution to hold the body in a stable, low-energy configuration. In this state, the whale drifts rather than swims, conserving energy in an environment where movement is costly and calories are earned through deep, demanding dives. The water itself becomes part of the support system. Subtle density gradients, shaped by temperature and salinity, can help stabilize the whale's position, reducing unwanted rolling or sinking. Gentle surface currents provide slow rotation, turning the whale almost imperceptibly, which may help distribute sensory input and prevent prolonged exposure of one side of the body to direct sunlight or surface turbulence. The animal is not rigid or locked in place. It is balanced, suspended, and responsive, occupying a narrow window where rest and readiness overlap. What makes this behavior particularly striking is how it contrasts with the sperm whale's reputation as an extreme diver. These animals routinely descend to depths that crush submarines, navigating cold, lightless zones where pressure reshapes physiology and time stretches under hypoxic conditions. They chase giant squid through ink-dark water, relying on powerful echolocation clicks that can stun prey and map vast volumes of space. After such exertion, one might expect rest to occur in sheltered deeper layers, away from surface disturbance. Instead, the whale chooses the threshold between worlds, resting where air is accessible and physics is forgiving. This choice reflects the trade-offs that define life for large marine mammals. Deep water offers safety from surface predators and human disturbance, but it also removes immediate access to oxygen. Shallow water offers breathing ease, but increases exposure. The vertical nap represents a compromise, placing the whale just below the surface, where it can breathe with minimal effort while remaining submerged enough to avoid wave energy and surface noise. It is a resting strategy tuned not for comfort, but for efficiency and survival. Studying this behavior has reshaped how scientists think about sleep in the largest animals on Earth. Traditional models of sleep, based largely on terrestrial mammals, assume extended periods of reduced responsiveness and muscular relaxation. Sperm whales challenge this framework. Their rest appears fragmented, opportunistic, and deeply integrated with body orientation and environmental physics. Rather than shutting down completely, the whale seems to enter a state of lowered activity while maintaining postural control and respiratory readiness. Whether this involves hemispheric sleep, localized neural rest, or another mechanism entirely remains an open question. But the posture itself offers clues about the constraints shaping cetacean physiology. The discovery of vertical resting behavior was a significant moment because it provided rare visual evidence of how a wild cetacean rests, not in captivity, not inferred from physiology, but observed directly in its natural environment. Tags attached to whales recorded motion patterns that suddenly flattened, indicating a cessation of active swimming, while cameras and surface observers captured the unmistakable image of upright bodies drifting together. In some cases, multiple whales rested in loose proximity, forming a quiet congregation of towering forms beneath the waves, each animal occupying its own column of water, aligned by gravity and buoyancy rather than social choreography. This communal aspect hints at another layer of function. Resting near others may reduce individual vigilance demands, with multiple animals sharing the burden of environmental awareness. A predator approaching from below or the side would have to pass through overlapping sensory fields, increasing the chance of detection. Even in rest, the sperm whale remains embedded in a network of cues and responses shaped by social living. The ocean may look empty, but for these animals, it is a space thick with information, where sound travels far and subtle changes can signal danger or opportunity. There is also an ironic humility to this posture. The sperm whale is an apex predator, with few natural enemies once fully grown. Yet its rest strategy is cautious and conservative, optimized to avoid unnecessary risk rather than to display dominance. Even giants cannot afford carelessness in a medium that punishes mistakes. The vertical nap is not dramatic or aggressive. It is quiet, almost vulnerable, a reminder that size alone does not exempt an animal from the fundamental challenges of respiration, energy balance, and awareness. As light conditions change throughout the day, the silhouette becomes even more surreal. In calm seas, the whale's shadow stretches downward, a dark column fading into blue, while sunlight glints off the upper surface of the head. At night, when surface light disappears, the posture becomes invisible from above, detectable only through sonar or chance proximity. This invisibility may itself be advantageous, reducing detectability during rest periods. The ocean absorbs shapes and edges, and a stationary vertical form blends more easily into the surrounding water column than a horizontally moving body. The brevity of these naps underscores how tightly rest is regulated in such animals. 10 or 15 minutes is enough to reduce metabolic load, allow partial neural recovery, and reset physiological systems without compromising readiness. The whale does not linger. When the rest bout ends, a gentle tail movement breaks the vertical alignment. The body tilts forward, and the animal slips back into motion, resuming the horizontal trajectory that carries it toward its next dive. There is no dramatic awakening, no visible transition from sleep to action. The change is smooth, efficient, and unremarkable. which is precisely why it works. For humans, accustomed to sleep as a prolonged retreat from the world, this behavior can feel almost unreal. It challenges the assumption that rest must involve collapse and stillness. In the ocean, rest can be upright, brief, and embedded within movement, shaped by buoyancy rather than bedding, by breathing constraints rather than circadian schedules. The sperm whale's nap is a solution engineered by physics and biology, not by comfort. When viewed from the surface, these resting whales present one of the strangest sights the ocean has to offer. Massive heads break the waterline, blowholes rising and falling with slow, deliberate breaths, while the rest of the body disappears into depth, motionless yet alive. They look less like animals and more like features of the seascape, temporary monuments erected by biology itself. It is a fleeting glimpse into a hidden rhythm, a reminder that even the largest predators must pause, if only briefly, to recharge. In a realm defined by constant motion and immense scale, this vertical stillness stands out as an anomaly, a moment where the ocean's most powerful hunter chooses balance over force, efficiency over excess. It is not dramatic, not loud, and not meant to be seen, yet once witnessed, it is unforgettable. The sperm whale's vertical nap remains the ocean's strangest sleeping silhouette, a quiet testament to how life adapts its most basic needs to the constraints of an unforgiving world. The waterline is one of the most deceptive places in the ocean, a boundary that looks calm from a distance, but represents constant risk for any animal that relies on it for breathing. For seals, this thin membrane between air and sea is not only a gateway to oxygen, but also a strategic platform where rest, vigilance, and survival intersect. In these moments, when movement slows and the urgency of foraging fades, seals sometimes adopt a posture so understated it can be mistaken for driftwood or debris. Floating upright in the water, body vertical, head just above the surface, eyes closed or half-lidded, gently rising and falling with the swell. This behavior is known as bottling, and it is one of the most elegant compromises between rest and readiness in the marine world. From above, a bottling seal looks almost absurdly simple, like a buoy anchored by nothing, a smooth head protruding from the water, while the rest of the body disappears beneath the surface. There is no flailing of flippers, no visible effort to stay afloat, no dramatic motion to signal activity. Yet this apparent stillness is not passive. It is the result of precise buoyancy control, refined respiratory timing, and an acute awareness of surroundings that allows the seal to rest without surrendering safety. The ocean supports the body, the lungs act as adjustable flotation devices, and minimal muscular input is required to maintain position. In an environment where energy conservation is inseparable from survival, this matters. Seals are amphibious mammals, equally shaped by land and water, and their rest strategies reflect this duality. Unlike fully terrestrial animals, they cannot simply lie down and disconnect from their surroundings without consequence, especially when at sea. Unlike fully aquatic animals that extract oxygen directly from water, they must surface to breathe, exposing themselves repeatedly to predators and environmental disturbance. Bottling solves multiple problems at once. By floating vertically with the head already at the surface, the seal eliminates the need for repeated surfacing motions, which are energetically costly and visually conspicuous. Breathing becomes effortless, a slight tilt of the muzzle, a gentle exhale, and the lungs refill without breaking posture. This posture also minimizes the body's exposed profile. Only the head remains visible above water, while the torso and flippers stay submerged, reducing detectability from a distance. Predators that hunt visually, whether from above or below, are presented with a far smaller target than they would be if the seal were sprawled horizontally or actively swimming. At the same time, the vertical orientation allows for rapid response. If a threat approaches, the seal does not need to roll, push off, or reorient itself. A single powerful stroke sends the body downward and away, using gravity and streamlined shape to vanish beneath the surface in an instant. This predator logic is central to understanding why bottling exists at all. Seals live in a world shaped by constant pressure from hunters such as sharks and orcas, animals that exploit moments of inattention with ruthless efficiency. Full sleep, in the sense of prolonged unconsciousness, would be a dangerous gamble in open water. Bottling allows seals to rest in a state of reduced activity, while maintaining a sensory foothold in the environment. Even with eyes closed, they remain sensitive to vibrations, pressure changes, and subtle water movements transmitted through their whiskers and body. These cues provide early warning of approaching danger, often before a predator is visible. The whiskers, or vibrissae, play a critical role here. Highly innervated and exquisitely sensitive, they can detect minute changes in water flow caused by passing animals or shifting currents. During bottling, the whiskers remain submerged and active, effectively extending the seal's awareness beyond what vision alone could provide. This sensory redundancy allows the seal to afford brief lapses in visual attention without becoming blind to the world around it. Rest, in this context, is not a shutdown of perception, but a recalibration of priorities. Physiologically, bottling takes advantage of the seal's ability to regulate buoyancy through lung volume and blood flow. By partially inflating the lungs, the seal achieves neutral buoyancy at the surface, reducing the need for constant paddling. Blood distribution can be adjusted to maintain warmth in vital organs, while limiting heat loss in peripheral tissues. Water draws heat away from the body far more efficiently than air, so minimizing exposed surface area helps conserve energy during rest. The vertical posture, with only the head above water, limits heat loss while still allowing access to oxygen. This strategy contrasts sharply with hauling out, the more familiar image of seals resting on land or ice. Hauling out provides complete relief from aquatic predators and allows for deeper sleep, social interaction, and thermoregulation through basking. However, it comes with its own costs. Land is not always available, especially for pelagic species or during certain seasons. Hauling out sites can become crowded, increasing competition and the risk of disease transmission. On land, seals are also far less agile, making them vulnerable to terrestrial predators and human disturbance. Bottling offers an alternative that can be deployed wherever water conditions allow, without the need for specific terrain. Importantly, water sleep is not a fallback or error state. It is a deliberate strategy, used selectively depending on environmental conditions, predator presence, and physiological need. Seals that bottle are not confused or exhausted to the point of collapse. They are making a calculated choice. In calm seas, where wave action is gentle and visibility is clear, bottling provides a low-risk opportunity to rest while remaining mobile. In rough conditions, seals may choose to remain active or seek sheltered areas instead, adjusting their behavior to the physical reality of the moment. Different seal species employ bottling with varying frequency and context. Some use it primarily during short rest periods between foraging bouts, while others incorporate it into longer cycles of activity and recovery. In all cases, the behavior reflects a balance between energy conservation and situational awareness. The ocean does not provide safe rooms or guaranteed downtime. Rest must be earned in fragments, woven into the rhythm of movement rather than separated from it. The visual simplicity of bottling can be misleading. To an observer unfamiliar with seal behavior, a bottling seal might appear inattentive or even stranded, its head bobbing gently as if at the mercy of the waves. In reality, the seal is engaged in constant micro-adjustments, maintaining balance, monitoring cues, and preparing for immediate action if needed. Muscles remain primed, heart rate slowed but responsive, and breathing steady. This is not deep sleep in the terrestrial sense, but a controlled descent into reduced metabolic demand. The evolutionary roots of this behavior lie in the seal's position between worlds. Descended from land-dwelling ancestors, seals retained the need to breathe air while gradually adapting their bodies to aquatic life. Bottling represents a solution that respects both legacies. It allows seals to rest in the medium where they are most agile, while maintaining access to the atmosphere that sustains them. Over time, individuals that could exploit this niche would have gained a survival advantage, conserving energy without exposing themselves unnecessarily to predators or environmental extremes. There is also a subtle social dimension to bottling. Seals often bottle near one another, creating loose aggregations of floating heads scattered across the surface. This proximity can enhance collective awareness, with multiple individuals detecting and responding to threats. While seals are not as tightly coordinated as some other marine mammals, the presence of conspecifics can still influence vigilance and risk assessment. A sudden dive by one seal can serve as an alarm cue, prompting others to follow suit even before they detect the threat themselves. As light shifts across the surface and the water reflects changing colors, bottling seals become part of the seascape, their heads rising and falling with the swell like punctuation marks on an otherwise empty horizon. They occupy a liminal space, neither fully active nor fully withdrawn, embodying a mode of rest that is inseparable from awareness. This is rest adapted to fluid dynamics, predator pressure, and the physics of breathing in water. The contrast between land sleep and water sleep in seals underscores the flexibility of mammalian behavior under environmental constraint. On land, a seal can sprawl, close its eyes, and disengage for extended periods, relying on the solidity of ground and the absence of immediate aquatic predators. In water, the rules change. Gravity no longer provides support, sound travels farther, and danger can emerge from any direction. Bottling is the answer to this complexity, a way to rest without pretending the ocean is safe. What makes this strategy remarkable is not its novelty, but its subtlety. There is no dramatic adaptation on display, no extreme physiological transformation that screams survival genius. Instead, bottling is quiet, efficient, and easy to overlook. A reminder that many of the most effective solutions in nature are those that blend seamlessly into the environment they exploit. The seal does not conquer the ocean, it negotiates with it, finding moments of stillness within constant motion. In the end, bottling reveals something fundamental about how seals survive in a world that never fully relaxes. Rest is not an absence of risk, but a managed exposure to it. By floating upright, breathing easily, and remaining poised for escape, seals turn the surface from a danger zone into a temporary refuge. They nap like bobbers, gently tethered to awareness, because in the ocean, what looks safe often is not, and what looks vulnerable can be a carefully engineered advantage. Cold water does not forgive mistakes, and for a small mammal living its entire life at the boundary between air and sea, rest is never casual. Along rocky coastlines and kelp forests where the ocean meets land, sea otters drift on their backs at the surface, bellies up, paws folded, faces relaxed in a way that reads as harmless and almost comically peaceful. It is one of the most disarming sights in the natural world, an animal that looks as though it has opted out of danger entirely. That impression is wrong. Sea otters are not resting because the ocean is gentle. They are resting because they have engineered a system that keeps danger just barely manageable. The ocean strips heat faster than air ever could, and sea otters feel that pressure constantly. Unlike seals or whales, they do not rely on thick blubber to insulate them from the cold. Their survival depends instead on the densest fur of any mammal, a living thermal barrier composed of hundreds of thousands of hairs packed into every square inch of skin. This fur traps a layer of air against the body, forming an insulating envelope that only works if it remains clean, dry, and well maintained. Grooming is not cosmetic for a sea otter. It is the difference between stable body temperature and lethal hypothermia. Resting, then, is not simply about sleep. It is about maintaining the conditions that make continued survival possible. When sea otters sleep, they rarely do so alone. Instead, they gather into floating groups known as rafts, loose assemblies of bodies drifting together on the surface. From a distance, a raft looks like a spill of dark shapes on the water, rising and falling with the swell, as if the ocean itself were breathing. This grouping is not driven by affection or coincidence. It is physics and biology working together under pressure. Waves, currents, and wind are relentless forces, and a single small body floating alone is easily pushed off course, separated from food sources, shelter, or safe habitat. By clustering together, otters increase their collective mass and reduce the likelihood that any one individual will be carried away while unconscious. The raft functions as a living buffer against motion. Bodies bump gently, limbs overlap, and the movement of one animal is absorbed by the group as a whole. This shared inertia dampens the effects of surface turbulence, allowing individuals to relax muscle tone without risking uncontrolled drift. In cold water, even small amounts of unnecessary movement translate into energy loss, and energy is a currency sea otters spend carefully. Every calorie burned maintaining position is a calorie that must later be replaced through foraging, and for an animal that already consumes a significant portion of its body weight each day, efficiency matters. Within these rafts, Sea otters deploy one of the most famous and misunderstood behaviors in marine mammals, wrapping themselves in kelp. Kelp forests are not passive scenery. They are dynamic, towering structures anchored to the seafloor, with long, flexible blades that reach the surface and sway with the currents. To an otter, kelp is both habitat and tool. Before resting, an otter may grab a length of kelp and loop it over its body, securing itself in place like a biological seatbelt. The kelp does not restrain the otter forcefully. It provides gentle resistance, enough to counter slow drift without impeding movement if escape becomes necessary. This behavior is not cute improvisation, it is spatial control. By anchoring themselves to kelp, otters ensure that when they wake, they are still within the productive zone of the forest, close to food and shelter. Drifting away during sleep could mean waking in open water, far from prey and more exposed to predators. In an ecosystem where location determines access to resources, sleeping in place is a strategic advantage. The kelp forest becomes an extension of the otter's survival toolkit, a structure that allows rest without surrendering territory. Predator pressure shapes every aspect of this behavior. Sea otters are prey for large sharks and, historically, for orcas in certain regions. These predators exploit surprise and isolation, targeting individuals that stray from cover or group protection. Rafting reduces isolation, and kelp provides visual and physical complexity that interferes with a predator's approach. The surface of a kelp forest is cluttered with shadows, moving blades, and overlapping forms, making it harder for a hunter to single out a target. Sleeping within this environment, surrounded by others, reduces the likelihood of a successful ambush. There is also a sensory logic at work. Sea otters, even when resting, remain sensitive to changes in water movement and pressure. The collective presence of a raft amplifies this sensitivity. A sudden disturbance, a ripple that does not match the rhythm of the swell, or a rapid movement beneath the surface can propagate through the group, triggering a coordinated response. One otter's alarm becomes everyone's alarm. This shared vigilance allows individuals to relax more deeply than they could alone, because the cost of detection is distributed across many bodies. Thermoregulation remains the dominant constraint. Without blubber, sea otters must constantly balance heat production and heat loss. Sleeping alone in cold water increases exposed surface area and accelerates heat transfer. Rafting reduces this by bringing bodies into close proximity, creating microenvironments where water movement is reduced and warmth is conserved. This is not communal warmth in the mammalian cuddle sense, but a subtle reduction in heat loss achieved through altered flow dynamics. Less water passes over each individual body, and the air trapped in fur remains more stable. Over time, these small savings add up. The economics of survival for a sea otter are brutal in their simplicity. Food must be gathered daily, often through labor-intensive diving to the sea floor to extract hard-shelled prey such as sea urchins, clams, and crabs. Each dive consumes oxygen and energy, and each meal must repay not only the cost of foraging, but also the baseline expense of staying warm. Sleep that compromises location or increases heat loss threatens this balance. That is why sea otters do not simply lie back and hope for the best, they prepare. Before resting, otters often adjust their position relative to the kelp forest and the raft, selecting spots that minimize exposure and maximize stability. This preparatory behavior is subtle and easy to overlook, but it reveals the underlying logic of their rest strategy. They are not responding passively to exhaustion. They are actively securing their immediate environment, ensuring that when consciousness fades, the surrounding conditions remain favorable. Only once this zone is stabilized do they allow themselves to relax. This stands in contrast to the image of sleep as vulnerability. For sea otters, vulnerability is what happens when preparation is skipped. The act of wrapping in kelp, clustering with others, and orienting the body correctly transforms sleep from a risky necessity into a controlled pause. It is not an absence of awareness, but a managed reduction in activity. Even while resting, otters may adjust their grip on kelp, shift slightly in response to current changes, or reposition within the raft, maintaining a dynamic equilibrium with the environment. Social structure reinforces this system. Rafts are not random assortments of individuals. They often reflect age, sex, and social relationships. Mothers with pups form particularly tight associations, with pups riding on their mother's chest while she sleeps, insulated by her fur and buoyed by her body. This arrangement allows the pup to rest without drifting or expending energy, while the mother maintains control over position and safety. For the pup, this is not only warmth and protection, but an early lesson in how rest works in the ocean. Sleep is something you do once the environment is secured, not something you drift into unprepared. The kelp forest itself benefits indirectly from this behavior. Sea otters are keystone predators, controlling sea urchin populations that would otherwise overgraze kelp. By sleeping within the forest and maintaining their presence, otters reinforce the stability of the ecosystem that supports them. Resting in place ensures they wake where they are most effective, ready to resume foraging that maintains the balance between kelp and herbivores. In this way, their sleep strategy is woven into the larger ecological fabric, influencing not just their own survival, but the structure of the habitat around them. The apparent softness of sea otter behavior hides a ruthless efficiency. Every element of their resting strategy exists to reduce risk, conserve energy, and maintain access to resources. There is no wasted motion, no unnecessary exposure. Even the image of holding hands, often highlighted in popular portrayals, reflects this logic. By linking together, otters increase group cohesion and reduce the chance that individuals will be separated by currents. What looks like affection is, at its core, spatial control. As daylight fades or the swell grows heavier, rafts adjust, tighten, or relocate, responding to changes in wind and water. Otters may abandon a resting site that becomes unstable, moving collectively to calmer zones within the kelp forest. This flexibility underscores the fact that rest is not fixed in time or place. It is conditional, contingent on environmental variables that must be constantly assessed. Sea otters do not impose their needs on the ocean, they adapt their behavior to fit its constraints. The contrast between their playful reputation and the seriousness of their survival strategies is striking. Otters are often portrayed as carefree, floating and cracking shells on their chests with stones, symbols of ease in a harsh world. In reality, every aspect of their behavior, including sleep, is tightly coupled to the demands of cold water, predator pressure, and energetic cost. Their cuteness is incidental, their precision is essential. In the end, sea otters do not rest because they feel safe. They rest because they have done the work required to make rest possible. By gathering into rafts, anchoring themselves in kelp, and positioning their bodies to conserve heat and control drift, they transform one of the most dangerous states an animal can enter into a manageable interval. Sleep is not a surrender, it is a secured operation. They do not simply close their eyes and float. They assess, anchor, cluster, and stabilize. Only then do they allow the ocean to carry them. Sea otters do not rest. They secure the zone first. The breeding colony never truly quiets, not at night, not in fog, not even when exhaustion presses down on every body packed into the rock-strewn ground. Thousands of penguins crowd together in dense ranks, shoulder to shoulder, flippers brushing, voices colliding into a constant wall of sound that turns the air itself into vibration. The smell of guano hangs heavy. The ground is uneven and slick, and movement never stops because stillness invites trouble. Eggs must be guarded, chicks shielded, neighbors challenged, and predators watched for, all at the same time. In this environment, sleep in the familiar sense is not just unlikely, it is almost impossible, and yet penguins survive it. They do not endure the breeding season by resting well. They survive it by barely resting at all. For many penguin species, the breeding period is a physiological and psychological siege. Adults arrive already depleted from long migrations and intense foraging trips at sea, only to enter weeks of near-continuous vigilance on land. Once an egg is laid or a chick hatches, at least one parent must remain present at all times. Leaving the nest unattended, even briefly, invites disaster. Eggs can be stolen or crushed, chicks attacked by opportunistic predators or trampled by neighbors during territorial disputes. The colony is a battlefield of small but constant conflicts, where every individual is both defender and potential threat. Under these conditions, extended, uninterrupted sleep becomes a liability. The solution penguins evolved is as unsettling as it is effective. Instead of sleeping for hours at a time, some penguins enter microsleeps, brief shutdowns of brain activity lasting only seconds, repeated over and over again throughout the day and night. These naps are not metaphorical or inferred from behavior alone. Researchers have recorded electrical activity in the brains of penguins during the breeding season and found clear evidence of sleep-like states occurring in bursts as short as a few seconds. The brain slips into rest, then snaps back to alertness almost immediately, thousands of times over the course of a day. In isolation, a few seconds of sleep seems meaningless, barely enough time to register unconsciousness. But in aggregate, these fragments accumulate. Over days and weeks, the total amount of sleep achieved through microsleeps can rival what the animal would normally require, even though it never experiences the luxury of sustained rest. It is a biological accounting trick, paying off a massive sleep debt in tiny, almost invisible installments. This pattern emerges not because penguins prefer it, but because the breeding colony leaves no alternative. Noise alone would shatter any attempt at long sleep. Penguins vocalize constantly, using calls to recognize mates and chicks in a sea of near-identical bodies. These calls overlap, echo, and reverberate, creating an acoustic environment that never drops below disruptive levels. Add to this the physical jostling as neighbors shift position, fend off intruders, or defend territory boundaries measured in inches, and the colony becomes a place where the nervous system is under continuous assault. Predation pressure sharpens the problem further. Depending on location, penguin colonies face threats from skuas, giant petrels, and other opportunistic hunters that specialize in exploiting moments of inattention. A sleeping penguin with its head down and eyes closed for too long is an invitation. Microsleeps reduce this risk by keeping lapses in awareness so brief that predators have little time to act. The penguin may lose consciousness for a handful of seconds, but it returns to alertness before the situation can change significantly. Physiologically, this requires an extraordinary level of neural flexibility. The brain must be capable of entering and exiting sleep states almost instantly, without the prolonged transitions seen in most mammals and birds. Traditional sleep architecture involves gradual descent into deeper stages, followed by equally gradual awakening. Penguins during breeding appear to bypass much of this process, dropping rapidly into a shallow sleep state and resurfacing just as quickly. It is not restful in the comforting sense, but it is functional. The cost of this strategy is not trivial. Fragmented sleep is associated in many animals with impaired cognition, slower reaction times, and reduced immune function. Penguins push against these limits during breeding, operating in a state that for humans would resemble severe chronic sleep deprivation. The psychological comparison is stark. Imagine living for weeks on end with your longest period of unconsciousness lasting only 4 seconds at a time, your mind repeatedly flickering off and on, never allowed to sink fully into rest. And yet penguins continue to incubate eggs, recognize mates, defend territory, and respond appropriately to threats. The key lies in context. This extreme sleep fragmentation is temporary and tightly linked to breeding demands. Outside the colony, penguins return to more conventional sleep patterns, especially at sea, where they can rest for longer intervals while floating or swimming. The microsleep strategy is deployed only when the environment makes normal sleep incompatible with survival. It is a contingency plan, not a default mode. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes sense. Penguins that failed to remain vigilant during breeding would lose offspring, and over generations, those losses would shape behavior and physiology. Individuals capable of extracting meaningful recovery from brief neural shutdowns would have an advantage, passing on genes that support this flexibility. Over time, the penguin brain became capable of tolerating and even exploiting extreme sleep fragmentation under pressure. What makes this adaptation particularly striking is that it occurs in birds, a group already known for diverse and unusual sleep strategies. Many birds engage in unihemispheric sleep during flight or rest, allowing one half of the brain to remain alert. Penguins appear to go further, compressing sleep into the smallest possible units and scattering them across the day. This suggests that sleep, as a biological necessity, is more modular than once thought, capable of being broken apart and redistributed when circumstances demand it. The colony itself plays a role in enabling this. While the environment is chaotic, it also provides a form of collective defense. Thousands of eyes and ears create a distributed surveillance system. Even if one penguin slips into a microsleep, others nearby remain awake, and sudden disturbances propagate quickly through the group. A predator's approach triggers a ripple of movement and sound that can rouse even those momentarily offline. In this way, individual sleep deprivation is offset by collective awareness. Temperature adds another layer of constraint. Breeding colonies often exist in cold, windy environments where heat loss is constant. Penguins rely on body heat and huddling to maintain temperature, especially during incubation. Extended sleep that relaxes posture or reduces responsiveness could disrupt these thermal arrangements, exposing eggs or chicks to lethal cold. Microsleeps allow penguins to maintain upright posture and physical contact, while still achieving some degree of neural rest. The body remains engaged in thermoregulation even as the brain briefly disengages. There is an irony in the fact that penguins, icons of endurance and resilience, survive one of the most demanding periods of their lives by sleeping badly. Their success does not come from perfect optimization, but from tolerating imperfection. They accept degraded sleep quality as the price of reproduction, relying on the ability to function under conditions that would incapacitate many other animals. This is not a romantic adaptation, it is brutal efficiency. The research documenting penguin microsleeps was a turning point in how scientists think about sleep as a biological process. It demonstrated that meaningful rest does not always require long, continuous periods of unconsciousness. Instead, under extreme constraints, the brain can fragment sleep into pieces so small they border on imperceptible, yet still extract enough recovery to sustain behavior. This challenges assumptions drawn largely from laboratory studies and highlights the importance of studying animals in their natural environments, where evolutionary pressures are fully expressed. Watching a penguin in the colony, it is impossible to tell when these microsleeps occur. The bird stands upright, eyes open, occasionally blinking, responding to neighbors and adjusting its position. Somewhere beneath that steady exterior, the brain flickers, shutting down and restarting in rapid succession. There is no visible collapse, no obvious vulnerability. The adaptation is hidden, internal, and easily missed, which is often the hallmark of the most refined survival strategies. When the breeding season finally ends and penguins return to the sea, they leave behind this fractured existence. At sea, they can rest more fully, allowing longer sleep bouts as they drift or swim, recovering from weeks of deprivation. The contrast underscores how extreme the colony environment is and how specific the microsleep strategy remains to that context. Penguins are not built to live forever on seconds-long naps. They are built to endure them when they must. The psychological hook is unavoidable. Penguins endure a reality that, if imposed on humans, would be considered torture. 4-second shutdowns, repeated endlessly, surrounded by noise, conflict, and danger, with no possibility of escape. And yet they persist, not because they are immune to fatigue, but because their biology has found a way to function through it. Their nervous systems bend without breaking, absorbing the stress of fragmentation and emerging intact on the other side of the breeding season. In the end, this is what makes penguin sleep so remarkable. It is not elegant or restful, it is compromised, strained, and barely sufficient, but it works. Penguins do not win by sleeping well. They win by surviving despite sleeping badly, turning seconds into sustenance and endurance into success. In a world that offers no quiet and no pause, they become the undisputed kings of sleeping badly and still functioning. The ocean offers no beds, no soft ground, and no guarantee that stillness will remain uninterrupted. Yet sea turtles have been solving the problem of rest in this unstable world for tens of millions of years. Their solution begins with a simple, uncompromising rule that governs every moment of their lives. They are air breathers. No matter how fluidly they move through water, no matter how long they remain submerged, their biology is tethered to the surface. Sleeping underwater is therefore not an act of surrender, but a carefully calculated negotiation between oxygen demand, metabolic control, and environmental risk. When a sea turtle is active, its relationship with the surface is frequent and obvious. During foraging or transit, the turtle ascends regularly to breathe, expending energy to power its flippers and maintain body temperature, heart rate elevated to support movement and digestion. Dives during these periods are purposeful and dynamic, shaped by prey availability and the need to balance oxygen use with activity. The turtle may descend to graze on seagrass, probe reef structures for sponges, or navigate open water corridors, returning to the surface at intervals that reflect the cost of motion. These dives are efficient, but they are not relaxed. Sleep changes everything. As activity drops, the turtle's physiology shifts into a slower gear, and this is where the animal's most understated adaptations emerge. Heart rate decreases, oxygen consumption falls, and muscles relax into a state of near stillness. This metabolic slowdown dramatically extends how long the turtle can remain underwater without breathing. While an active turtle may surface every few minutes, a resting or sleeping turtle can remain submerged for extended periods, sometimes for hours, depending on temperature, species, and individual condition. This is not because turtles stop needing oxygen, but because they reduce how fast they burn it. This metabolic flexibility is one of the turtle's greatest survival tools. Cold water enhances it further, as lower temperatures naturally slow biochemical processes, reducing oxygen demand even more. In warmer tropical waters, turtles must be more conservative, choosing resting spots that minimize stress and disturbance to maintain low metabolic rates. Sleep, for a turtle, is not simply closing its eyes. It is a full-body recalibration designed to stretch every breath as far as possible. But breath-holding ability alone does not make underwater sleep safe. Location is everything. A turtle that sleeps in the wrong place risks exhaustion, predation, or drowning if forced to surface too frequently. Over evolutionary time, turtles have become selective to the point of obsession about where they rest. Calm reef ledges, shallow caves, overhangs, and protected depressions in the sea floor are favored not for comfort, but for predictability. These environments reduce current flow, limit visual exposure, and provide physical barriers against surprise approaches by predators. A reef ledge offers a subtle advantage. By tucking itself beneath an overhang or alongside complex coral structures, the turtle breaks up its outline, blending into the seafloor in a way that makes detection difficult. Sharks, one of the primary threats to sleeping turtles, rely on motion and contrast to identify targets. A stationary turtle nestled into reef architecture becomes part of the landscape, its shell resembling rock, its muted coloration matching surrounding textures. Motionless animals are harder to notice, especially in a world of shifting light and moving water. Caves and crevices add another layer of protection. These spaces restrict access, forcing any approaching predator to slow down and commit to a narrow entry. For a turtle, this is critical. Sleep reduces reaction speed, and although turtles can awaken quickly, they are not built for sudden bursts of acceleration like some fish. A confined resting spot buys time, turning surprise attacks into detectable events. The turtle does not need to outrun danger if it can detect it early enough to respond. Currents are an equally important consideration. Resting in a strong current forces constant muscular adjustment, increasing oxygen consumption and shortening safe dive time. Over hours of rest, even small increases in effort accumulate into significant metabolic cost. Calm zones behind reef structures or within sheltered lagoons allow turtles to remain still without fighting the water. In these pockets, gravity and buoyancy balance naturally, and the turtle can maintain position with minimal effort, conserving oxygen and extending sleep duration. Depth selection further refines the strategy. Resting too shallow increases exposure to surface disturbances, wave action, and human activity, while resting too deep amplifies the cost of surfacing to breathe. Each ascent from depth requires energy and time, and repeated deep ascents can erode the benefits of metabolic slowdown. Turtles therefore tend to choose depths that strike a balance, shallow enough to allow easy access to air if needed, yet deep enough to remain insulated from surface chaos. This balancing act becomes even more delicate in regions with high predator density. In such environments, turtles may opt for shorter sleep bouts, resurfacing more frequently to reset oxygen levels and reassess conditions. Sleep becomes fragmented, responsive to context rather than fixed schedules. The turtle's brain remains attuned to subtle cues, pressure changes, vibrations and chemical signals in the water that may indicate approaching danger. Rest does not equal disconnection. The ability to remain underwater for long periods during sleep is often misunderstood as invulnerability. In reality, it is a narrow margin for error. If a turtle is startled repeatedly during rest, forced to surface before its metabolism can settle. The cumulative stress can be significant. Frequent interruptions increase oxygen demand, elevate heart rate, and shorten future dive capacity. This is why turtles are so deliberate about choosing resting spots that minimize disturbance. A poor location does not just make sleep shorter, it makes survival more expensive. Shelter choice also intersects with thermoregulation. Although turtles are ectothermic, relying on external temperatures to regulate body heat, they still benefit from thermal stability. Reef structures and seabed depressions often offer more consistent temperatures than open water, buffering against rapid fluctuations caused by currents or surface mixing. Stable temperatures help maintain predictable metabolic rates, allowing turtles to better manage oxygen use during rest. In colder waters, this can extend dive times dramatically, while in warmer waters, it prevents metabolic spikes that would otherwise force more frequent breathing. The contrast between active diving and sleeping submergence highlights how turtles modulate their physiology across behavioral states. During active foraging, muscles consume oxygen rapidly. Lactic acid accumulates, and the turtle must surface often to reset its internal balance. During sleep, muscle activity drops to near zero, and the turtle relies primarily on basal metabolic processes. Blood flow is redistributed, prioritizing essential organs while reducing supply to inactive tissues. This internal reorganization is what allows a single breath to last so long. Importantly, this strategy only works if the turtle remains calm. Panic or sustained alertness negates the benefits instantly. A startled turtle that flees its resting spot consumes oxygen at a rate that erases hours of careful conservation in moments. This is why turtles avoid resting in exposed areas where threats are unpredictable. Safety, not depth or distance, is the primary currency of rest. Different species exhibit variations on this theme. Some turtles favor reefs, others sandy bottoms near seagrass meadows, and still others rocky coastal zones. These preferences reflect not just habitat availability, but the specific predator assemblages and current patterns each species evolved alongside. What unites them is the principle that rest is always contextual. A location that is safe in one region may be lethal in another. Human activity increasingly complicates this equation. Boat traffic, artificial lighting, and underwater noise introduce disturbances that turtles did not evolve to interpret correctly. A resting turtle startled by engine vibrations may flee unnecessarily, burning oxygen and abandoning an otherwise optimal shelter. Over time, repeated disturbances can degrade the quality of resting habitats, forcing turtles into suboptimal locations where sleep becomes shorter and more costly. The consequences of this are subtle but cumulative, affecting health, immune function, and reproductive success. From a distance, a sleeping sea turtle appears serene, hovering in place or tucked beneath a ledge, flippers relaxed, eyes closed. It is tempting to imagine that the animal has simply drifted into unconsciousness, trusting the ocean to hold it. In reality, that stillness is the endpoint of countless small decisions, each one shaped by the physics of water, the chemistry of respiration, and the constant shadow of predation. Sleep is not passive, it is planned. Even the act of surfacing after sleep reflects this planning. Turtles often ascend slowly, conserving energy and minimizing surface disturbance. A gentle break of the surface, a controlled inhalation, and a smooth descent back to shelter reduce the risk of detection. Loud splashes and rapid movements draw attention. Quiet efficiency keeps the turtle unnoticed. Over evolutionary time, turtles that failed to master this balance would have paid the price. Resting too deep would have increased the risk of hypoxia. Resting too shallow would have increased exposure. Resting in the open would have invited predators. The turtles that survived were those that treated sleep as a logistical problem rather than a biological luxury. This perspective reframes how we think about rest in the ocean. Sleep is not defined by comfort or duration, but by survivability. A turtle does not ask where it can sleep the longest, but where it can sleep without being forced to react. Calmness is earned, not assumed. In the end, the simplicity of the turtle's rule hides a complex strategy. They breathe air, so they must manage oxygen. They sleep underwater, so they must slow everything down. They live among predators and currents, so they must choose their location with precision. The ocean offers no forgiveness for poor planning, and turtles respond by turning rest into a carefully staged operation. They do not close their eyes just anywhere and hope for the best. They evaluate, position, settle, and only then allow their bodies to drift into metabolic quiet. Sea turtles do not sleep anywhere. They pick a safe parking spot. The reef after dark is not silent, but it is subdued, its daytime urgency replaced by slow movements and cautious pauses, as predators and prey renegotiate the terms of survival under reduced light. In this shifting world of shadow and texture, the octopus withdraws from its daytime role as a restless problem solver and master of disguise, and enters a state of rest that looks less like sleep and more like a biological anomaly. What unfolds is not a simple shutdown, but a sequence of neural and physical events so strange that, when first observed carefully, it forced scientists to rethink what sleep even means in animals without backbones. An octopus at rest often begins in stillness. Its body settles into a crevice or beneath a ledge, arms loosely coiled, suckers relaxed, breathing slowed to a gentle rhythm driven by mantle contractions. The skin fades into a muted uniform tone that blends with the surrounding rock, not as an active camouflage display, but as a default quieting of its chromatophore system. This phase, known as quiet sleep, resembles the low-activity rest seen in many animals. The octopus remains largely motionless, responsive only to strong disturbance, its nervous system operating at a reduced baseline. If this were the whole story, octopus sleep would already be interesting, because it occurs in an animal whose nervous system is radically different from our own, distributed across arms and body, rather than centralized in a single brain. But then, the stillness breaks. Without warning, the octopus erupts into motion while remaining asleep. The skin flashes through complex patterns, waves of color and contrast rippling across the body in rapid succession. Pale tones give way to dark mottling, then to sharp-edged bars and spots that appear and vanish in less than a second. Arms twitch, curl, or extend slightly, as if reaching for something invisible. The eyes may move beneath closed lids, and the entire animal appears briefly animated by internal activity, rather than external stimulus. This is active sleep, and it is the phase that makes octopus rest feel alien. These bursts are not random spasms or signs of distress. Controlled studies have shown that during these active phases, neural activity increases dramatically, following patterns that resemble staged sleep cycles observed in vertebrates. Electrodes placed near the octopus brain record shifts between low and high activity states, alternating in a regular rhythm over the course of rest. The active phases are short but distinct, separated by longer periods of quiet sleep. This cycling suggests that sleep in octopuses is structured, not incidental, even though it evolved independently from the sleep systems of mammals and birds. The most striking feature of active sleep is the behavior of the skin. Octopus skin is not merely a surface, it is an extension of the nervous system itself. Millions of chromatophores, each controlled by direct neural input, allow the octopus to change color, texture, and pattern almost instantaneously. Underlying layers of iridophores and leucophores add reflective and light-scattering properties, creating depth and shimmer. During waking hours, this system is used for camouflage, communication, and intimidation, responding to visual input and environmental context with astonishing speed. During active sleep, those same patterns appear to play out without any external trigger. The sequences observed during these sleep bursts often resemble patterns the octopus uses while awake. Camouflage textures ripple across the skin as if the animal were adjusting to different backgrounds. High-contrast warning displays flash briefly, then dissolve. These are not the smooth, sustained patterns of conscious control, but fragmented, abbreviated versions, as though the system were cycling through familiar configurations. To a human observer, it looks uncannily like dreaming, not because the octopus shares our subjective experience, but because its body appears to be replaying elements of its waking life. This interpretation gains weight when considered alongside the octopus's cognitive abilities. Octopuses are not passive inhabitants of their environment. They explore, manipulate objects, learn from experience, and remember solutions to problems. Their survival depends on rapid decision-making and flexible use of camouflage in complex habitats. Every day, an octopus must assess backgrounds, predict predator movement, and choose appropriate visual strategies in real time. The neural load of this behavior is immense, especially given that a significant portion of the octopus's neurons are located in its arms, processing sensory information and coordinating movement independently of the central brain. Active sleep may be the period during which this distributed system reorganizes itself. The rapid skin pattern changes could reflect internal processing, a kind of rehearsal or recalibration of the camouflage responses that are critical to survival. In vertebrates, sleep is known to play a role in memory consolidation and neural maintenance. While octopuses diverged from the vertebrate lineage hundreds of millions of years ago, they face similar problems of information overload and system upkeep. The solution they evolved appears to involve letting the body itself participate in sleep-related processing. This is where octopus sleep becomes fundamentally different from anything humans experience. In mammals, dreaming is confined to neural activity inside the skull, occasionally expressed through muscle twitches or eye movements. In octopuses, the nervous system is inseparable from the skin. When the brain enters an active sleep phase, the body displays it openly. The skin becomes a screen on which neural activity is projected, revealing internal dynamics that, in other animals, remain hidden. The timing of these sleep phases adds another layer of intrigue. Active sleep tends to occur more frequently after periods of intense activity, such as hunting or exploration. An octopus that has spent hours navigating a complex reef, evading predators and manipulating prey, is more likely to show pronounced active sleep bursts afterward. This mirrors patterns seen in other animals, where REM-like sleep increases following learning or novel experiences. The implication is not that octopuses dream in a human sense, but that their sleep supports similar functional goals: processing information, reinforcing successful behaviors, and maintaining neural health. Predator pressure shapes this behavior carefully. Octopuses are vulnerable when resting, lacking the rigid defenses of shelled mollusks or the speed of fish. Their primary protection is invisibility. During quiet sleep, maintaining camouflage is essential. During active sleep, however, the brief flashes of color could theoretically increase detectability. The fact that octopuses still engage in these displays suggests that active sleep is both necessary and tightly regulated. The bursts are short, and they occur in sheltered locations, often within crevices or dens where visual exposure is limited. Location selection, as with other marine sleepers, is critical. The octopus does not allow its nervous system to run wild in open water. There is also evidence that octopuses can abort active sleep instantly if disturbed. A sudden touch or strong visual cue snaps the animal back into full wakefulness, skin pattern locking into camouflage almost immediately. This rapid transition underscores how sleep in octopuses is layered rather than absolute. Even during active phases, the system remains poised for interruption, balancing the need for internal processing with the ever-present risk of predation. The evolutionary implications are profound. Sleep with distinct stages appears to have evolved multiple times across the animal kingdom, suggesting that it solves fundamental biological problems that arise whenever nervous systems become sufficiently complex. Octopuses represent a separate experiment in intelligence, one that arrived at similar solutions through entirely different anatomical and genetic pathways. Their sleep shows that staged neural rest is not a vertebrate invention, but a convergent outcome of cognitive demand. The alien quality of octopus sleep lies not in its strangeness, but in its transparency. What we glimpse on the skin is likely happening invisibly in many other animals. Neural circuits activate, patterns replay, systems recalibrate. In octopuses, the boundary between brain and body dissolves, turning sleep into a visible performance rather than a hidden state. This visibility challenges comfortable assumptions about consciousness and rest. When an octopus cycles through skin patterns while asleep, it forces the observer to confront the idea that internal experience, whatever form it takes, can manifest physically in ways we are not used to interpreting. The animal is not signaling to others, not responding to its environment, yet its body is alive with activity. The skin, normally a tool for deception and communication, becomes a canvas for internal neural rhythms. There is a quiet irony here. Octopuses are masters of concealment when awake, using their skin to disappear into their surroundings. When asleep, that same skin reveals them, exposing internal processes that other animals keep hidden. It is as though the octopus, having spent the day lying convincingly to the world about what it is, allows the truth of its neural life to leak out when consciousness loosens its grip. In ecological terms, this sleep strategy reinforces the octopus's reliance on intelligence rather than endurance. Octopuses are short-lived compared to many marine animals, burning brightly and briefly through complex lives that demand constant adaptation. Sleep, even in these fragmented, exposed forms, supports that intensity. The active phases may help preserve the efficiency of camouflage responses, the coordination of arms, and the rapid decision-making that define octopus survival. As the active burst fades, the skin settles back into uniform tones, the arms relax, and the octopus returns to quiet sleep, anchored to its den. The cycle will repeat again and again, a rhythm of stillness and internal motion that continues unseen unless one is watching closely. To stumble upon an octopus in active sleep is to witness something rarely afforded to observers of animal behavior, the outward expression of an inner process that usually remains concealed. This is why octopus sleep feels so unsettling and so compelling. It looks like dreaming because it functions like rehearsal. It looks like memory because it echoes experience. It looks like imagination because it unfolds without stimulus. Yet it is none of these things in the human sense. It is the octopus doing what evolution has shaped it to do, maintaining a nervous system that must operate at the edge of possibility. In the end, the octopus does not simply sleep to recover energy. It uses sleep to maintain the machinery of deception, adaptation, and intelligence that keeps it alive. While other animals rest by withdrawing from the world, the octopus allows its body to continue working, replaying, refining. It does not fade quietly into unconsciousness. It runs through its greatest hits. The octopus does not just sleep, its body runs a highlight reel. On the open seafloor, where sunlight weakens into shifting bands and every shadow feels exaggerated, stillness is rarely accidental. The sand itself is alive with motion, sculpted continuously by currents, reshaped by tides, disturbed by passing bodies that leave signatures behind them like fingerprints. In this environment, stopping is dangerous unless it is done correctly. For stingrays, rest is not a pause from survival, but one of its most refined expressions, executed not through withdrawal, but through disappearance. Stingrays do not sleep in the way land animals do, sprawled and unguarded, surrendering awareness to the safety of solid ground. Instead, they rest by becoming part of the seafloor. Their bodies flatten, movements slow to near imperceptibility, and many species actively bury themselves beneath a thin veil of sand. From above, the ray vanishes, leaving behind nothing more than faint outlines and the subtle rise and fall of sediment with each breath. This is not a sign of fatigue or passivity, it is strategy. The anatomy of a stingray is built for this mode of rest. Their bodies are dorsiventrally flattened, wings stretched wide like living kites, allowing them to press flush against the substrate. When they settle, water flows smoothly over their backs, reducing drag and stabilizing their position even in moving currents. Their spiracles, small openings just behind the eyes, remain exposed above the sand, allowing them to draw in clean, oxygenated water without clogging their gills with sediment. This adaptation is critical. A fish resting on the bottom without such structures would suffocate quickly. A stingray breathes comfortably while buried, disconnected from the turbulence above. Burying is not a passive drift into cover. It is an active behavior that requires coordination and precision. Using rhythmic undulations of their pectoral fins, stingrays lift sand into the water column and guide it over their bodies, allowing gravity and flow to settle the grains evenly across their backs. The result is near-perfect concealment. Body outline dissolves, edges disappear, even the eyes become difficult to detect against the textured background. What remains visible is often limited to subtle impressions in the sand and the faint pulsing of water around the spiracles. This camouflage serves multiple functions simultaneously. Visually, it breaks up the ray's silhouette, making it almost indistinguishable from the surrounding seabed. Many marine predators rely on contrast and shape recognition, and a buried ray offers neither. Chemically, remaining still reduces the spread of scent cues that might otherwise draw attention. Mechanically, burial anchors the ray in place, preventing it from being rolled or displaced by currents that could force unnecessary movement and energy expenditure. Energy conservation is a core driver of this behavior. Stingrays are not constant cruisers. Many species spend large portions of their daily cycle resting on or within the substrate, alternating between active foraging and low-motion recovery. This pattern reflects their role as benthic predators, animals whose lives are structured around the sea floor rather than the open water column. Hunting often involves short bursts of activity, ambushing prey such as crustaceans, mollusks, and small fish buried beneath the sand. After these efforts, returning to rest allows the ray to reset its metabolic balance without leaving the safety of its chosen habitat. Importantly, this resting behavior is normal, not a sign of weakness or idleness. To human observers, a ray lying motionless on the bottom may look inactive or even vulnerable. In reality, it is behaving exactly as evolution intended. Benthic life rewards patience and precision, not constant movement. Rays that remain low motion reduce their exposure to predators and conserve energy for moments that matter. In ecosystems where food availability can fluctuate and competition is intense, efficiency is survival. Predator logic shapes every aspect of this strategy. Stingrays share their environment with large sharks, marine mammals, and other hunters capable of overpowering them. While rays possess speed and maneuverability when necessary, they are not built for sustained chases. Avoidance is often safer than escape. By resting buried in sand, rays avoid detection altogether, turning the seafloor into a shield rather than a stage. Many predators pass within feet of buried rays without noticing them, scanning for movement or distinct shapes that never appear. Even so, rest does not mean defenselessness. One of the most misunderstood aspects of stingray biology is their tail spine, often sensationalized as an aggressive weapon. In reality, it functions primarily as a deterrent, a last resort defense, rather than an offensive tool. While resting, the spine remains present, flexible, and ready, even if concealed beneath sand. Any predator that manages to locate and harass a resting ray risks a painful and potentially disabling encounter. This ever-present threat reinforces the effectiveness of the ray's low-motion strategy. Predators learn quickly that probing the sand blindly can carry consequences. The placement of resting sites reflects careful environmental assessment. Stingrays do not bury themselves randomly. They favor sandy flats near reefs, seagrass meadows, or gentle slopes where prey is abundant and escape routes are nearby. These areas offer a balance between concealment and opportunity. Resting too far from feeding grounds would require unnecessary travel, while resting in overly exposed zones would increase risk. The chosen spot often reflects knowledge gained over time, an understanding of current patterns, predator traffic, and substrate composition. Substrate matters. Fine sand allows easier burial and better camouflage than coarse rubble or rock. In areas where sand is scarce, rays may rest on open surfaces instead, relying on coloration and stillness rather than burial. Even then, their mottled patterns mimic the texture of the seabed, reducing visibility. Coloration in stingrays is not static. It reflects the environments they inhabit, shaped by selection to match local conditions. Resting posture and skin pattern work together, reinforcing the illusion of absence. Currents introduce another layer of complexity. Strong water movement can erode sand cover or force constant adjustment, increasing energy use and exposure. Rays therefore choose locations where flow is predictable or dampened by topography. Behind sand ripples, near gentle depressions, or along leeward sides of structures, they find zones of relative calm. Here, a buried ray can remain stable for extended periods, breathing steadily and maintaining its low metabolic state. Physiologically, resting on the seafloor allows stingrays to regulate energy expenditure efficiently. Unlike endothermic animals that must generate internal heat, rays are ectothermic, their body temperature matching that of the surrounding water. This reduces baseline energy demands, but ties metabolic rate closely to environmental conditions. Warmer water increases metabolic activity, while cooler water slows it. Resting during warmer periods helps prevent unnecessary energy loss, while burial can provide thermal buffering by reducing direct exposure to fluctuating water temperatures. The notion of sleep in stingrays remains complex and less defined than in mammals, but their low-motion resting states fulfill many of the same functions. Neural activity decreases, responsiveness drops, and energy consumption falls. Yet, as with many marine animals, this rest is layered rather than absolute. Rays retain the ability to react rapidly to strong stimuli, bursting from the sand in a sudden explosion of motion if threatened. This ability to transition instantly from rest to action underscores how rest in the ocean is always conditional. Juvenile rays rely on this strategy even more heavily than adults. Smaller bodies are more vulnerable, and burial provides a critical layer of protection during growth. Shallow nursery areas with fine sediment become safe zones where young rays can rest and forage with reduced predation risk. These habitats are not optional. They are essential components of the ray life cycle, supporting survival during the most dangerous stages of development. There is an irony in how this behavior is often perceived. Tourists encountering rays resting on sandy bottoms may mistake them for harmless or inactive animals, approaching too closely or attempting to touch them. This misunderstanding has led to accidents, not because rays are aggressive, but because their defensive systems remain active even during rest. The tail spine does not retract when a ray lies still. It exists as a constant reminder that stillness does not equal vulnerability. From an ecological perspective, the resting habits of stingrays influence the seafloor itself. Their repeated burying and emergence disturb sediment, oxygenating the substrate and redistributing nutrients. This bioturbation affects invertebrate communities, shaping prey availability and sediment chemistry. Rest, in this sense, is not ecologically neutral. It is part of the ray's role as an ecosystem engineer, subtly reshaping its environment even while motionless. As daylight fades and visibility drops, resting rays become nearly impossible to detect. The seafloor smooths itself over them, currents erase surface clues, and the ocean resumes its illusion of emptiness. Beneath that illusion, rays remain present, breathing, sensing, waiting. Their rest is not a retreat from the ecosystem, but an integration into it. What makes this strategy so effective is its simplicity. No complex social coordination, no constant movement, no dramatic display, just stillness, placement, and concealment. Evolution has refined the ray's body into a form that excels at vanishing, turning one of the most vulnerable moments in an animal's life into a state of relative security. Stingrays do not nap openly, they do not drift aimlessly or surrender to exhaustion. They lower themselves into the landscape, erase their outline, stabilize against the flow, and remain alert enough to respond if needed. Their rest is embedded in camouflage, wrapped in sand, and reinforced by quiet menace. They do not sleep above the seafloor. Stingrays nap inside camouflage. The open ocean is unforgiving to anything that hesitates, and for an animal built like a living wing, rest is not a simple matter of stopping. Manta rays inhabit a realm where gravity loses its authority, but water resistance replaces it with constant demand. To exist here is to move, and for mantas, movement is not just a choice or a habit, but a physiological necessity. Unlike many fish that can pump water actively over their gills while stationary, mantas rely heavily on ram ventilation, a system in which forward motion drives water across the gill surfaces, delivering oxygen to the blood. This single fact reshapes everything about how mantas can rest, and it forces scientists to confront an uncomfortable truth. Whatever sleep looks like for a manta ray, it cannot resemble the shutdown we recognize in land animals, and it may not resemble sleep at all. Manta rays are massive, slow-beating organisms with an energy economy that depends on constant balance. Their broad pectoral fins, stretched like wings, generate lift and forward momentum with graceful, efficient strokes, allowing them to glide for long periods with minimal muscular effort. This design is perfect for cruising through plankton-rich waters, filtering food while expending relatively little energy. But it also means that stopping entirely removes the very mechanism that keeps oxygen flowing. A manta that simply hovered motionless in open water would risk suffocation. As a result, Rest for mantas is constrained by the physics of breathing in a way that few animals experience so completely. Researchers studying manta behavior have been careful to avoid overstating what is still uncertain. There is no definitive proof that mantas enter a sleep state comparable to mammals or even to many other fish. What we do know is that mantas dramatically reduce activity at certain times, particularly at night, and that during these periods they adopt patterns of slow, steady movement that suggest rest rather than active foraging. Instead of feeding loops or social interactions, they glide in long arcs, sometimes rising and falling gently through the water column, sometimes maintaining a consistent depth while barely flapping their fins. This is not inactivity. It is deliberate, minimal motion, just enough to keep water flowing over the gills and the body stable. This distinction matters. For mantas, rest appears to be an active process, one that requires ongoing input rather than withdrawal. Their nervous systems must remain engaged enough to coordinate movement, maintain orientation, and regulate breathing. Any lapse in this chain could be fatal. The idea of drifting into unconsciousness, letting the body go limp, simply does not fit the constraints of their biology. Instead, rest becomes a state of controlled motion, where energy expenditure is reduced, but never eliminated. The ocean itself complicates this further. Mantas are pelagic wanderers, often traveling vast distances across open water. During the day, they may be observed near cleaning stations on reefs, where smaller fish remove parasites and dead skin, or feeding near the surface where plankton blooms concentrate. At night, however, mantas often vanish from known locations, slipping into deeper or more remote waters, where observation becomes extremely difficult. Tracking devices have shown vertical movements after sunset, but the purpose and exact nature of these dives remain debated. Are mantas seeking food, avoiding predators, or entering zones more suitable for rest? The answer may be all of the above, varying by individual, region, and environmental conditions. Depth offers potential advantages for resting. Deeper water can be cooler, which slows metabolic processes and reduces oxygen demand. It can also be darker and quieter, reducing sensory stimulation that might otherwise demand attention. However, deeper depths also increase the cost of surfacing if needed and may expose mantas to different predator communities. The choice of where to rest, therefore, is not trivial. It reflects a trade-off between metabolic efficiency, safety, and the need to maintain movement. Predation risk remains a constant background pressure. Adult mantas are large and relatively well defended by size alone, but they are not invulnerable. Large sharks and orcas are capable of attacking them, particularly if the manta is compromised or distracted. Resting in open water without awareness would be dangerous, and so whatever rest mantas achieve must preserve a baseline level of responsiveness. Slow cruising allows them to detect changes in water movement, pressure, and chemical cues, maintaining a sensory connection to their surroundings even during low activity periods. This mode of rest also aligns with the manta's broader sensory world. Mantas possess a suite of sensory adaptations tuned to movement. Their lateral line system detects water flow and vibration, providing constant feedback about speed and direction. Electroreceptors around the head allow them to sense the faint electrical fields produced by other animals. Vision plays a role as well, though it is optimized for wide fields rather than fine detail. These systems work best when the animal is moving. Motion feeds information into the nervous system, helping the manta maintain spatial awareness. Stopping completely would deprive the animal of critical sensory input, increasing vulnerability. The idea that mantas might never fully shut down challenges deeply ingrained assumptions about sleep as a universal requirement. Yet nature offers many examples of partial or alternative solutions. Birds engage in unihemispheric sleep during flight. Dolphins rest one brain hemisphere at a time, and sharks exhibit periods of low activity while continuing to swim. Mantas may occupy a similar category, existing in a state of perpetual compromise where rest is distributed across time and movement, rather than concentrated in stillness. What makes this especially intriguing is how little we can observe directly. Unlike reef-dwelling animals that return to predictable shelters, mantas do not leave obvious resting sites. They do not wedge themselves under ledges or bury in sand. They move, and then they disappear. Satellite tags provide clues, but they offer patterns rather than scenes. A depth change here, a speed reduction there, a period of steady movement without feeding. These fragments must be assembled into hypotheses rather than certainties. Some researchers have suggested that mantas may use slow, circular swimming patterns at depth, minimizing energy expenditure while maintaining sufficient water flow over the gills. Others propose gentle gliding along thermoclines, where density gradients support buoyancy and reduce the effort required to stay aloft. These ideas are plausible, but difficult to confirm. The ocean at night is vast, and mantas are masters of slipping beyond observation just when curiosity peaks. This uncertainty itself becomes part of the story. Mantas, often portrayed as gentle giants of the sea, retain an element of mystery precisely because their lives unfold beyond easy reach. Their apparent need for motion-based rest suggests a lifestyle that leaves little room for true disconnection. If sleep occurs, it may do so in fragments, layered within ongoing activity, rather than separated from it. Rest becomes something woven into movement, not a pause between actions. There is a psychological resonance to this idea that is hard to ignore. To imagine needing to move in order to breathe, to rest, to survive, is to imagine a life without true stillness. For mantas, motion is not stress, it is normality. The slow rhythmic beating of fins, the steady glide through water, may represent a state of calm rather than exertion. In this sense, rest becomes a moving meditation, a continuous low-effort engagement with the environment that sustains both body and mind. This reframing helps explain why mantas appear so serene in motion. Their swimming is not hurried or frantic. It is measured, economical, and smooth, as though the animal has learned to inhabit the narrow band between effort and collapse with exquisite precision. Even when feeding or socializing, mantas rarely rush. Their entire existence is built around managing flow, both of water and of energy. The evolutionary pathway that led to this condition likely involved gradual specialization toward open ocean life. As ancestral rays expanded into pelagic zones, those that could maintain oxygenation through movement gained access to new resources, but also inherited new constraints. Over time, bodies became larger, fins broader, and swimming more efficient, locking mantas into a lifestyle where stopping was no longer an option. Sleep, if it persisted, had to adapt or be abandoned in its traditional form. This does not mean mantas are deprived or stressed by their condition. Evolution does not optimize for comfort, it optimizes for persistence. If mantas can function, grow, reproduce, and navigate vast oceans without extended periods of unconsciousness, then that solution is sufficient. Their brains, metabolism, and behavior have co-evolved to support this mode of existence. What seems extreme to us may be entirely unremarkable from the inside. The question of how much mantas actually sleep and in what form remains open. It is possible that future technologies will reveal deeper resting behaviors, perhaps brief periods of reduced neural activity during slow glides, or subtle hemispheric differences in brain function. For now, what we see is a creature that cannot afford to stop, yet does not appear exhausted by that necessity. Instead, it has turned motion into rest. As night deepens and mantas slip away from the places we know, they enter a realm of speculation, moving through darkness with the same quiet grace they show by day. Somewhere below the surface, they continue their slow circuits, water flowing over gills, muscles working just enough, senses tuned to the surrounding void. There is no dramatic moment of collapse, no visible surrender to sleep. There is only continuity. In a world where most animals survive by alternating between action and stillness, mantas occupy a different niche entirely. Their survival depends on continuity, on never fully letting go. Rest is not a destination, it is a mode of travel. Manta rays may not sleep in the way we expect. They may never fully shut down. They may be built for a life of almost no sleep at all. As daylight fades over the reef, the riot of color and motion that defines coral ecosystems begins to reorganize itself rather than disappear. Parrotfish wedge into crevices, wrasses sink into mucus cocoons, predators shift patrol routes, and the entire food web transitions into its night configuration. In this environment, where survival depends on precision rather than brute force, Clownfish do not retreat or migrate to some hidden sleeping ground. They stay exactly where they are. Their world does not expand or contract with the sun. It tightens. Clownfish live bound to a single structure with unusual loyalty. Their host, anemone. This relationship is not symbolic or optional. It is the axis around which every aspect of their daily rhythm turns, including rest. Unlike reef fish that roam during the day and seek shelter at night, clownfish maintain a strict spatial discipline. They forage close, patrol closer, and when night arrives, they do not wander in search of a safer place. They reset in place. The anemone is not just shelter or defense, it is territory, protection, and bed, all at once. During daylight hours, clownfish remain active within a tight radius around their host. They chase away intruders, pick at food particles, interact socially within their hierarchy, and constantly reinforce their claim over the anemone. Their movements are quick, darting, and vigilant. Every second of daylight is spent maintaining position and status, because losing access to the anemone is not a minor setback, it is a survival failure. As night approaches, this intensity softens, but the location does not change. The clownfish slow their movements, retreat deeper into the tentacles, and enter a state of reduced activity that functions as rest. This day-night rhythm is not casual behavior shaped only by light levels. It is governed by internal biological clocks synchronized to the reef environment. Like many reef organisms, clownfish possess circadian rhythms that regulate metabolism, hormone release, activity levels, and responsiveness to threats. When these rhythms are disrupted, the consequences ripple outward. Studies have shown that artificial light at night interferes with normal rest patterns in anemone fish, leading to altered behavior, increased stress markers, and reduced performance the following day. Sleep for clownfish is not decorative biology. It is functional maintenance. The reason rest matters so much lies in how tightly clownfish are integrated into their immediate ecosystem. Living within an anemone exposes them to constant chemical, mechanical, and social interaction. Anemone tentacles contain stinging cells potent enough to kill most fish, yet clownfish survive through a specialized mucus layer that prevents nematocyst discharge. Maintaining this mucus is energetically costly and biologically precise. It must be renewed, regulated, and balanced continuously. Disrupted rest compromises this process, increasing vulnerability to stings or weakening the protective effect over time. The anemone itself is not passive during the night. Like all living organisms, it continues to respire, consuming oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. At night, when photosynthesis by symbiotic algae ceases, oxygen levels around the anemone can drop significantly, especially in calm water with limited circulation. This creates a microenvironment where oxygen availability becomes a real constraint. Clownfish do not simply ignore this. Their nighttime behavior influences water flow around the anemone, subtly affecting oxygen exchange. Research has shown that the presence and movement of clownfish at night can increase oxygen availability near the anemone by promoting gentle water circulation. Even low-level fin movements can reduce boundary layers that trap depleted water, effectively ventilating the immediate area. This means that the clownfish's nighttime behavior is not just about rest. It actively modifies the chemical environment of their host, improving conditions for both fish and anemone. Sleep, here, is not a solitary act. It is part of a coupled system. This interdependence reframes how rest functions for clownfish. They are not choosing a safe place to sleep and then disengaging from the world. They are entering a low-activity state within an ongoing biological relationship. Their bodies remain positioned in ways that preserve access to oxygen, maintain contact with the anemone, and allow rapid response if conditions change. True unconsciousness would be dangerous. Instead, clownfish rest while remaining embedded in their system, reducing activity without severing interaction. The safety logic is uncompromising. Leaving the anemone at night would expose clownfish to nocturnal predators such as moray eels, lionfish, and hunting wrasses that exploit darkness to ambush prey. The reef at night is not quieter, it is more selective. Visual cues diminish, but chemical and mechanosensory detection become dominant. A small fish wandering away from its shelter risks being detected long before it sees danger. The anemone, with its lethal tentacles, remains one of the few places where most predators will not follow. Territory also matters. Anemones are limited resources, and clownfish defend them aggressively. Abandoning an anemone overnight would create an opening for rivals or opportunistic species to move in. Even brief absences can lead to displacement, particularly in crowded reef systems where competition is constant. By sleeping within the anemone, clownfish maintain physical presence and signal ownership continuously. Rest does not suspend territorial defense. It merely lowers its intensity. Social structure reinforces this pattern. Clownfish live in strict hierarchies dominated by a breeding pair, with subordinate individuals arranged by size and status. Nighttime positioning within the anemone reflects this hierarchy, with dominant individuals occupying central, more protected zones, and subordinates pushed toward the periphery. Rest does not dissolve social order. It freezes it temporarily. Each fish sleeps where it stands in the system, reinforcing roles that will resume with daylight. Artificial light disrupts this finely tuned arrangement in subtle but serious ways. Light pollution alters perceived day length, delaying the onset of rest or fragmenting it. Fish exposed to nighttime lighting remain active longer than they should, increasing energy expenditure and reducing the quality of rest. Over time, this leads to measurable declines in growth, immune function, and reproductive success. In experimental settings, clownfish subjected to artificial night lighting showed impaired learning and slower responses to threats during the day. The implication is clear: rest is not optional downtime. It is a requirement for cognitive and physiological stability. This vulnerability highlights how dependent clownfish are on predictable environmental cues. Their small size and limited mobility leave little room for error. They cannot afford to experiment with alternative sleeping sites or schedules. Their strategy is narrow but effective. Stay close, stay protected, reset quietly, and resume activity at first light. Any disruption to this pattern carries disproportionate risk. The anemone zone functions as a closed loop. Food gathered during the day supports energy needs. Rest at night conserves that energy. Presence within the anemone maintains territory and social structure. Gentle nighttime movement supports oxygen balance. Each component reinforces the others. Remove one, and the system degrades. Sleep outside the anemone would break the loop. Poor quality sleep inside it weakens the entire structure. This is why clownfish do not exhibit dramatic sleeping postures or behaviors. There is no deep retreat, no migration to distant shelters, no complete disengagement from the environment. Their rest is understated because it must be. Anything that draws attention or increases movement would undermine safety. The clownfish settles deeper into the tentacles, reduces activity, and allows its physiology to shift into maintenance mode without ever leaving the protective envelope. There is a quiet irony in how this contrasts with popular portrayals. Clownfish are often depicted as playful wanderers, darting freely across the reef, exploring wide spaces with curiosity. In reality, their world is small, tightly bounded, and fiercely defended. Their success does not come from roaming, but from commitment to a single lethal structure that they turn into home, fortress, and bedroom. From an ecological perspective, this strategy contributes to reef stability. Anemone fish help clean their hosts, defend them from predators such as butterfly fish, and enhance local nutrient cycling through waste deposition. Their presence improves anemone health, which in turn supports local biodiversity. The day-night cycle of clownfish activity and rest is part of this broader pattern, influencing how energy and matter move through the reef on a small but persistent scale. Sleep, in this context, is not an isolated physiological event. It is an ecological behavior with downstream effects. When clownfish rest properly, they perform better during the day, defend their anemone more effectively, and contribute to the resilience of their microhabitat. When rest is disrupted, the effects extend beyond the individual fish. As darkness settles fully and the reef shifts into its nocturnal configuration, clownfish become almost invisible, their movements slowed, their colors muted by low light and tentacle cover. They are not absent. They are simply recalibrating, conserving, and stabilizing within the system that sustains them. Their rest is quiet, localized, and deeply integrated into their environment. They do not swim off to some distant refuge. They do not detach from the network of interactions that define their lives. They remain inside it, reducing activity without surrendering position. The anemone is not just where they live, it is where they reset. Nemo does not wander off to sleep. Sleep happens inside the system. The reef does not power down at night, it reorganizes. As sunlight drains from the water and colors flatten into blues and grays, the ecosystem does not become quieter so much as it becomes more deliberate. Motion shifts from speed to timing, from visual dominance to chemical and tactile negotiation. In this transition, animals without eyes, without limbs, without anything resembling a centralized brain, continue to participate fully. The sea anemone, rooted in place and often mistaken for a passive decoration, enters its own version of night mode, one that challenges the very idea of what sleep is supposed to be. A sea anemone does not sleep in the way a fish, bird, or mammal sleeps. It has no brain to switch off, no eyes to close, no muscles to relax into unconsciousness. Yet it does not remain in a constant state of identical activity across the 24-hour cycle. Instead, it shifts, movement slows, feeding behavior changes. Sensitivity to touch and chemical cues recalibrates. Energy use drops when opportunity wanes. This is not sleep as absence, but sleep as modulation, a physiological downshifting that mirrors the rhythms of the reef around it. To understand this, it helps to strip away human assumptions. Sleep is often framed as a mental necessity, something brains require to recover from information overload. But long before brains existed, life still needed ways to manage energy, repair tissues, and survive fluctuations in resource availability. Sea anemones represent an ancient solution to this problem, one rooted not in neural shutdown but in metabolic timing. By day, many anemones remain partially expanded, tentacles extended into the water column, armed with stinging cells called nematocysts that capture passing plankton and small prey. Their bodies are inflated, internal water pressure maintained by muscular contractions that keep their column rigid and their feeding surface maximized. During daylight hours, photosynthetic symbionts living within their tissues, often microscopic algae, contribute energy by converting light into sugars. Feeding and energy acquisition are layered together, with chemical signals regulating tentacle extension, mucus production, and toxin readiness. As night falls, the rules change. Photosynthesis stops. Plankton availability shifts. Predators that rely less on vision begin to dominate. In response, many anemones subtly alter their posture. Tentacles may retract slightly. Body columns may contract. The animal becomes less conspicuous, less energetically demanding, and more chemically guarded. Metabolic process is slow, reducing energy expenditure during hours when food intake is less predictable. This is not dormancy, it is efficiency. Movement reduction is a key component. Anemones are capable of slow, deliberate motion, expanding, contracting, and even relocating over time. But these actions are costly. At night, unnecessary movement offers little benefit and increased risk. Remaining compact reduces exposure, limits the surface area vulnerable to grazing or attack, and conserves internal resources. The reef at night is full of animals that probe, nip, and test stationary organisms for weakness. An anemone that remains inflated and reactive wastes energy and advertises its presence. One that tightens and enters a low-activity state blends more effectively into the background chemical noise of the reef. Chemical defenses become more important after dark. Many reef predators hunt by scent rather than sight, and anemones rely heavily on toxins and deterrent compounds to signal that contact is a bad idea. These chemical cues persist even when movement slows, allowing the anemone to maintain defensive presence without constant activity. In this sense, nighttime behavior shifts the balance from mechanical defense to chemical deterrence, a strategic pivot rather than a shutdown. The absence of a brain does not mean the absence of coordination. Anemones possess a diffuse nerve net, a decentralized system that allows local responses to stimuli without central command. This network continues to function at night, but its thresholds change. Touch sensitivity may increase in some species, allowing rapid nematocyst discharge if disturbed, while feeding responses may become more selective. The animal does not need to interpret its environment consciously. It adjusts through chemical gradients, ion flow, and feedback loops refined over hundreds of millions of years. This day-night modulation is not isolated behavior. It is synchronized with the larger reef cycle. At night, plankton migrations change, herbivorous fish retreat, and invertebrate predators emerge. Stationary animals like anemones cannot chase opportunity or flee danger. They must anticipate it. Timing becomes their primary survival tool. By shifting activity patterns to align with predictable environmental changes, anemones maximize benefit while minimizing cost. The relationship between sea anemones and clownfish adds another layer of complexity to this nocturnal shift. Together, they form a functional unit whose behavior at night is different from what either would exhibit alone. As darkness falls, clownfish retreat deeper into the tentacles, reducing their own activity while remaining in constant contact with the host. Their presence influences water flow, oxygen levels, and even nutrient distribution around the anemone. The fish's reduced but persistent movement prevents stagnation, subtly ventilating the anemone's tissues during a period when photosynthetic oxygen production has ceased. This interaction is not incidental. Anemones respire continuously, consuming oxygen, and in low-flow conditions, oxygen levels can drop to stressful levels overnight. The presence of clownfish helps offset this by maintaining gentle circulation, reducing the risk of localized hypoxia. In return, the anemone provides chemical and physical protection, allowing the fish to rest without exposure. At night, their behaviors converge into a shared low-energy state that benefits both partners. This symbiosis highlights an important truth about reef life. Sleep, rest, and reduced activity are not always individual phenomena. They can be collective states, emerging from interactions between species. The anemone does not need to sleep alone, nor does it fully disengage. Its night mode incorporates the predictable presence and behavior of its symbiotic partner, turning a potential vulnerability into a stabilizing factor. Even without fish partners, anemones demonstrate clear dial rhythms. Studies have shown changes in gene expression, toxin production, and tissue repair activity tied to light cycles. Cellular maintenance processes often increase during periods of reduced feeding, suggesting that nighttime slowdown provides opportunities for internal repair. This parallels functions attributed to sleep in animals with brains, reinforcing the idea that rest is not exclusively neurological. It is physiological, metabolic, and ecological. Predator pressure reinforces the need for this rhythm. At night, animals such as nudibranchs, sea stars, and specialized fish emerge to feed on cnidarians. An anemone that remains in daytime feeding mode after dark risks being detected and damaged. By tightening its posture and reducing outward signals, it becomes less attractive as a target. Its stinging cells remain armed, but they are deployed more selectively, conserving resources for real threats. There is an irony in how easily these shifts are overlooked. To a casual observer, an anemone at night looks much like it does during the day, a splash of color anchored to rock or coral. The changes are subtle, measured in degrees of contraction, rates of pulsing, and chemical output rather than dramatic movements. Yet these small adjustments are the difference between sustainable survival and gradual depletion. This quiet adaptability reflects the anemone's evolutionary position. As one of the oldest body plans still thriving today, anemones embody a strategy that predates complex nervous systems. They do not react impulsively. They do not chase or flee. They endure by aligning themselves precisely with environmental rhythms. Day and night are not obstacles to overcome, but patterns to be exploited. The reef at night becomes a mosaic of overlapping night modes. Fish reduce activity or switch roles. Invertebrates emerge. Corals alter feeding strategies. Anemones shift metabolism and posture. None of this requires awareness in the human sense. It requires timing. The entire system pulses according to cycles that existed long before cognition. In this context, asking whether an anemone sleeps misses the point. The better question is how it manages time. Its answer is elegant in its simplicity. When energy is plentiful and opportunity abundant, it expands and feeds. When conditions change, it contracts, conserves, and defends. This rhythm repeats endlessly, a biological metronome synced to the sun and moon. The presence of symbiotic fish does not interrupt this rhythm, it integrates into it. At night, the anemone tolerates constant contact from its fish partners, chemical recognition preventing stinging responses. This tolerance itself is regulated, maintained even during reduced activity states. The system remains functional without being fully alert, balanced without being rigid. What emerges is a picture of rest that is not defined by absence of activity, but by purposeful reduction. The anemone does not go offline. It enters a different operating mode, one tuned for darkness, reduced food flow, and heightened predation risk. This mode preserves energy, maintains defense, and prepares the animal for the next shift back into daytime productivity. In a reef ecosystem where nothing truly stops, even stillness is strategic. Animals without brains, without eyes, without any recognizable signs of consciousness, still participate in cycles of rest and renewal. They do so not by sleeping as we understand it, but by adjusting their relationship to time, energy, and interaction. The sea anemone remains rooted, unchanged in position, yet transformed in function as night takes hold. Its tentacles retract slightly, its metabolism slows, its chemical defenses persist, its symbiotic partners settle into place. The reef does not notice the change because it is universal. Every organism is doing something similar, shifting gears in response to the same environmental signals. On a reef, sleep is not always visible, and it is rarely dramatic. Sometimes it looks like stillness, sometimes it looks like subtle restraint, sometimes it looks like doing less rather than nothing at all. On a reef, even still animals have a night mode. In the shallow margins of the ocean, where seagrass meadows sway and coral branches break the flow of water into unpredictable eddies, survival does not belong to the fastest or the strongest. It belongs to the animals that know how to stay put. Seahorses exist in a world that punishes drift and rewards restraint. A world where letting go for even a moment can mean being carried into open water, exposed to predators and currents they cannot outrun. In this environment, rest is not about lowering the mind or relaxing the body. It is about anchoring existence itself. A seahorse does not lie down to rest. It cannot afford to. Its body is built upright, rigid and angular, encased in bony plates rather than flexible muscle, optimized not for speed, but for precision. Its tiny dorsal fin vibrates rapidly to keep it hovering, while its pectoral fins steer with delicate adjustments. This system works well enough for short movements and controlled positioning, but it is energetically expensive and mechanically weak. A seahorse fighting current without support is burning energy it cannot spare. This is why rest, for a seahorse, begins with one essential action. Gripping. The prehensile tail is the defining feature of seahorse rest. Unlike the tails of most fish, which are designed to propel, the seahorse tail is designed to clamp. It curls inward with deliberate control, wrapping around seagrass blades, coral branches, mangrove roots, or any vertical structure sturdy enough to resist the pull of water. Once secured, the seahorse becomes part of the environment, its body stabilized not by muscle effort, but by leverage. The current can push, surge, and swirl, but the animal remains fixed in place, its energy expenditure dropping dramatically. This anchoring behavior is not optional or occasional. It is the foundation of seahorse survival. Seahorses anchor to feed, anchor to avoid predators, anchor to court, anchor to give birth, and anchor to rest. Without a grip, they are vulnerable. Their swimming ability is limited, their acceleration poor, and their endurance minimal. Open water is not a refuge, it is a hazard. Resting without anchoring would mean constant fin movement just to maintain position, quickly exhausting the animal and increasing its visibility to predators that scan for motion. When a seahorse rests, it does so upright, tail locked, head angled slightly forward, eyes moving independently to monitor the surroundings. The body becomes almost motionless. Fin activity slows to a minimum, sometimes stopping entirely for brief periods. This stillness is not laziness, it is camouflage. Seahorses rely heavily on masquerade, blending into their environment by resembling the plants and structures they cling to. Their skin texture and coloration shift subtly to match surrounding hues, and their rigid posture mimics stems, twigs, or coral growths. Movement would break the illusion. Stillness completes it. Predator logic explains why this matters so much. Seahorses are prey to a wide range of animals, including crabs, fish, and even turtles, all of which are more mobile and more powerful. Many of these predators hunt visually, cueing in on movement rather than shape. A drifting or struggling seahorse is immediately obvious. A stationary seahorse, anchored and aligned with surrounding vegetation, can be nearly invisible. Rest, therefore, doubles as concealment. The act of conserving energy also reduces detection risk. Anchoring also solves a mechanical problem imposed by currents. Shallow coastal environments are rarely calm. Tides move water back and forth, waves generate oscillating forces, and passing animals create turbulence. For an unanchored seahorse, these forces translate into constant displacement. Anchoring converts these forces into manageable stress, distributed through the tail and into the substrate. The animal's center of mass remains stable, reducing the need for continuous fin adjustments. Over time, this stability translates directly into energy savings, allowing the seahorse to maintain position for hours without significant metabolic cost. This energy economy is critical because seahorses operate close to their limits. Their feeding strategy relies on ambush. They wait, motionless, until small crustaceans drift within reach, then snap them up with a rapid suction motion. This method is efficient, but dependent on patience and precision. Energy wasted on unnecessary swimming reduces the time they can afford to wait. Rest, anchored rest, extends hunting windows and increases survival odds. At night, anchoring becomes even more important. As light levels drop, visual camouflage becomes less effective, and other sensory modalities dominate. Many nocturnal predators use chemical and mechanosensory cues, detecting movement through water displacement rather than sight. A resting seahorse that remains anchored and still generates minimal hydrodynamic disturbance. It becomes a poor target, not because it is hidden visually, but because it fails to announce itself through motion. In this sense, anchoring is not just physical attachment, it is sensory silence. Physiologically, anchoring allows seahorses to enter low-activity states that function as rest. Their heart rate slows, oxygen consumption decreases, and muscular effort drops. Unlike mammals, they do not shut down neural activity in a way that would resemble deep sleep, but they do reduce responsiveness to non-threatening stimuli. The tail remains engaged, the grip constant, while the rest of the body settles into maintenance mode. This is rest shaped by necessity rather than comfort. The structure of the tail itself reflects how central this behavior is. Seahorse tails are square in cross-section rather than round, a design that increases grip strength and resistance to twisting. This geometry allows the tail to apply pressure evenly around irregular objects, maintaining a secure hold even when currents shift direction. The tail's musculature is arranged to favor sustained contraction over rapid movement, prioritizing endurance over speed. Evolution has optimized this appendage not for release, but for commitment. Anchoring also affects social behavior. Seahorses often rest near preferred feeding sites or established territories, gripping the same structures repeatedly. This spatial fidelity reduces the need to search for new anchoring points and increases familiarity with local conditions. Some individuals show preferences for particular holdfasts, returning to them night after night. This predictability further conserves energy and reduces exposure to unfamiliar risks. There is also a reproductive dimension. Seahorses form pair bonds in many species, engaging in daily greeting rituals that reinforce partnership. Anchoring plays a role here as well. Resting near each other, often on adjacent structures, allows pairs to maintain proximity without active swimming. During breeding periods, conserving energy becomes even more important, particularly for males carrying developing embryos in a brood pouch. Anchoring provides the stability needed to support this physiological burden. The contrast between seahorses and more mobile fish underscores how specialized this strategy is. Many reef fish seek shelter in crevices at night, wedging themselves into tight spaces to avoid currents and predators. Seahorses cannot do this effectively. Their body shape and upright posture make squeezing into holes inefficient. Instead, they externalize their shelter, turning the surrounding environment into an anchor point rather than a cavity. This adaptation allows them to exploit habitats that would otherwise be unsuitable. From an ecological perspective, seahorses are tightly bound to structured environments. Seagrass meadows, mangroves, and coral reefs provide the vertical elements necessary for anchoring. When these habitats degrade, seahorses lose not only feeding grounds, but resting infrastructure. A seahorse without anchor points is forced into constant motion, increasing energy expenditure and predation risk simultaneously. Habitat loss therefore strikes at the core of their resting strategy, making conservation of structure as important as conservation of food. Human disturbance compounds this vulnerability. Boat wakes, dredging, and trawling can uproot seagrass and break coral, removing anchor points and increasing water turbulence. Even subtle changes in flow can turn a previously stable resting site into an energy drain. For an animal operating on such a narrow margin, these changes are not trivial. They alter the fundamental balance between rest and risk. What makes seahorse rest particularly striking is how little it resembles rest in our own experience. There is no collapse into softness, no horizontal surrender, no safe ground beneath. Instead, rest is vertical, rigid, and deliberate. The animal remains upright, clipped to its environment, prepared to respond if necessary. This posture reflects the reality of life in moving water, where gravity is irrelevant and attachment is everything. There is a quiet metaphor embedded in this strategy. Seahorses do not trust the water to hold them. They trust what they can grip. Their survival depends on maintaining a point of contact with something more stable than themselves. In doing so, they turn weakness into resilience. Poor swimming ability becomes irrelevant when movement is optional rather than mandatory. At a glance, a resting seahorse looks almost ornamental, a delicate shape swaying gently among plants. This perception masks the discipline underlying the behavior. The grip is not casual, it is constant, precise, and intentional. Letting go would mean re-entering a world of instability, where every second costs energy and invites danger. As currents shift with the tide, anchored seahorses rotate slightly, their bodies aligning with flow rather than resisting it. This passive compliance further reduces strain, allowing the animal to rest while the environment moves around it. The tail absorbs the stress, the body remains calm, and the illusion of stillness persists even in dynamic water. This is rest engineered for a hostile medium. No wasted motion, no unnecessary exposure. Just a clamp, a pause, and a watchful stillness that keeps the animal alive long enough to feed, mate, and repeat the cycle again. Seahorses do not sleep unguarded. They do not drift and hope. They secure themselves first, then allow their bodies to slow. Their rest is not an absence of action, but the result of perfect positioning. They sleep like a climber on a cliff face, never trusting empty space, always clipped in. The reef does not offer mercy to animals that rest carelessly, and for creatures wrapped in armor rather than speed, survival depends on knowing exactly when and where to stop moving. Lobsters, ancient crustaceans whose lineage stretches back hundreds of millions of years, have never relied on the kind of deep, unconscious sleep familiar to mammals. Their nervous systems are built differently, their lives shaped by exposure, predation, and the unforgiving physics of open water. Instead of shutting down, lobsters enter states of reduced activity and lowered responsiveness. Periods of rest that are inseparable from shelter, vigilance, and timing. In the ocean, rest is not something you do anywhere, it is something you fortify. A lobster does not collapse into rest in the open. Its body plan makes that impossible. Despite its heavy exoskeleton, a lobster is not invulnerable. Its joints are exposed, its underside relatively soft, and its movements deliberate rather than fast. Sharks, octopus, large fish, and even other crustaceans all represent credible threats. Remaining visible while inactive would be an invitation to attack. The solution is not to sleep better, but to disappear into structure. Lobsters are shelter sleepers, animals that only allow themselves to enter low-activity states once the environment itself has been converted into armor. Rocky crevices, coral holes, reef overhangs, and burrows beneath ledges become temporary bunkers. A lobster backs into these spaces carefully, orienting its body so that its most heavily armored carapace faces outward, while its softer abdomen and vital organs remain protected inside. The antennae extend forward, probing the entrance like tripwires, sampling water for chemical signals and vibration changes. Only once the position is secure does the animal reduce movement, lowering metabolic demand while keeping its sensory systems engaged. This behavior is not occasional. It defines the lobster's daily rhythm, Most lobster species exhibit strong dial patterns, with activity levels shifting depending on light conditions, predator pressure, and human interference. In areas with heavy fishing or visual predators, lobsters become more nocturnal, emerging under cover of darkness to forage while retreating into shelters by day. In more protected environments, some activity may occur during daylight, but rest is always associated with structure. The timing may change, the bunker does not. The idea that lobsters do not sleep in a mammalian sense often leads to misunderstanding. Rest is sometimes equated with unconsciousness, but for lobsters, rest is about reducing exposure while maintaining awareness. During these periods, heart rate slows, muscle activity drops, and responsiveness to weak stimuli decreases. However, strong chemical cues, sudden pressure changes, or vibrations trigger immediate reaction. This layered responsiveness allows lobsters to conserve energy without surrendering control. The sensory world of a lobster is tuned precisely for this balance. Vision plays a role, but it is not dominant, especially in low-light environments. Instead, lobsters rely heavily on chemoreception and mechanoreception. Their long antennae are packed with sensory receptors capable of detecting faint chemical traces released by prey, predators, or injured animals. Even while resting, these antennae remain extended and mobile, sweeping slowly or holding position to sample the water. A resting lobster is not blind to its surroundings, it is listening. Vibration detection is equally critical. Changes in water movement caused by approaching animals propagate through crevices and rock structures. The lobster's sensory hairs and antennae pick up these signals long before a predator becomes visible. This early warning system allows the animal to remain in a low-energy state until action is necessary. If danger approaches, the lobster can retreat deeper into its shelter, raise its claws defensively, or if escape routes exist, make a rapid tail flip to reposition. Shelter selection reflects this sensory logic. Lobsters favor crevices with limited entrances, irregular geometry, and solid backing. Straight tunnels are less desirable than angled or branching spaces that disrupt line of sight and movement. A predator attempting to reach into such a space risks injury from claws or becomes wedged, losing maneuverability. For the lobster, geometry is defense. Rest only occurs where geometry favors the resident. Energy economics reinforce this behavior. Lobsters are opportunistic foragers, feeding on a wide range of prey including mollusks, echinoderms, and carrion. While capable hunters, they are not fast chasers. Foraging involves slow movement across the substrate, probing with antennae and manipulating objects with claws. This lifestyle rewards patience and efficiency. Energy wasted maintaining position in open water or reacting unnecessarily to non-threatening stimuli reduces the net gain from feeding. By anchoring rest within shelters, lobsters minimize baseline energy costs, reserving resources for growth, molting, and reproduction. Molting introduces additional vulnerability that makes bunker-based rest essential. When a lobster sheds its exoskeleton, it emerges temporarily soft and defenseless, unable to use its claws effectively or resist attack. During this period, lobsters remain hidden, resting almost exclusively within deep shelters until the new shell hardens. Rest here becomes survival in its purest form. Any disturbance during this time can be fatal. The existence of secure shelters directly influences molting success and, by extension, population stability. The timing of rest relative to molting, feeding, and mating varies across species and environments, but the underlying strategy remains consistent. Lobsters rest when they are least able to defend themselves actively, and they choose places that compensate for that limitation. This strategy has persisted across geological time because it works. Lobsters that rested openly did not leave descendants. Predator-prey dynamics further shape these rhythms. Octopuses, one of the lobster's most formidable predators, are intelligent, flexible, and capable of entering shelters to extract prey. Lobsters respond by choosing shelters that limit octopus access or provide early warning. Narrow entrances, sharp turns, and rubble-filled cavities reduce the octopus's advantage. In regions with high octopus density, lobsters may alter rest timing, becoming active at different hours to avoid peak predation risk. Rest is therefore not fixed to clock time, but to threat landscapes. Human pressure adds another layer. In heavily fished areas, Lobsters learn to associate certain cues, such as boat noise or trap deployment, with danger. Rest periods may shift accordingly, with lobsters emerging less frequently or choosing deeper, more complex shelters. Studies have shown that lobsters can alter behavior based on experience, suggesting that rest strategies are not purely instinctual, but adaptable within a framework shaped by evolution. Despite these complexities, the act of resting itself remains understated. A resting lobster does not look dramatically different from an active one at first glance. Its posture changes subtly. Claws relax slightly but remain poised. Antennae extend forward, occasionally twitching. The body presses against the substrate, maximizing contact and stability. Internally, process is slow. Digestion continues. Tissue repair occurs. Energy is conserved. This is not sleep as oblivion. It is rest as readiness. There is an irony in how armored lobsters approach vulnerability. One might assume that a thick shell invites boldness, that protection allows carelessness. In reality, the shell encourages caution. Armor without awareness is useless. The lobster's rest strategy acknowledges this by pairing physical defense with spatial intelligence. The bunker does not replace vigilance, it enhances it. The surrounding ecosystem responds to these resting patterns. Crevices used repeatedly by lobsters become focal points of nutrient accumulation, waste deposition, and microbial activity. Over time, these microhabitats influence local biodiversity, supporting small invertebrates and shaping reef structure. Lobster rest is therefore not ecologically neutral. It participates in habitat engineering, subtly altering the environment even in stillness. Nightfall often marks the transition between rest and activity. As visual predators retreat and chemical cues dominate, lobsters emerge cautiously, antennae sweeping ahead as they test the environment. The bunker is never far behind. Foraging routes are short, efficient, and oriented around known shelters. The animal does not stray aimlessly. It operates within a network of safe zones, moving between them as needed, always with an escape plan. This spatial discipline underscores how rest and movement are inseparable for lobsters. Rest is not the opposite of activity, it is the anchor that defines it. Without secure rest sites, movement becomes risky. Without movement, rest becomes starvation. The balance between the two is mediated by shelter. From a broader evolutionary perspective, lobster rest represents one of the oldest solutions to the problem of vulnerability. Long before complex brains and REM cycles, animals needed ways to reduce energy use without increasing mortality. Shelters provided that solution. The bunker strategy predates sleep as a neurological concept, offering a physical answer to a biological problem. In this light, asking whether lobsters sleep misses the deeper point. The relevant question is how they remain alive while inactive. The answer is not unconsciousness, but architecture. Walls, angles, depth, and access control replace dreams and shutdowns. Rest becomes a matter of engineering rather than neurology. A lobster tucked into a crevice, antennae extended, claws ready, metabolism slowed, is not resting by chance. It has evaluated its surroundings, selected a defensible position, and entered a state of reduced activity that preserves life in a hostile environment. The bunker is not a retreat from danger. It is an engagement with it on favorable terms. When the time comes to move again, the transition is immediate. There is no grogginess, no hesitation. The lobster emerges fully functional, senses active, body primed. Rest has not dulled it, it has preserved it. In the ocean, where sleep can be fatal if misunderstood, lobsters have refined rest into a defensive doctrine. They do not relax openly. They do not trust armor alone. They disappear into structure, slow down, listen, and wait. Lobster rest is not about comfort, it is bunker strategy. In the shallow margins of the ocean, where rock meets sand and every surface seems to crawl with life, survival belongs to animals that understand geometry better than strength. Crabs live in a world where almost everything eats them. Fish, octopus, birds, mammals, even other crabs view them not as rivals but as food with legs. In such an ecosystem, rest cannot resemble surrender. It cannot resemble unconsciousness. It cannot resemble anything that removes the option of immediate escape. For crabs, rest is not a break from vigilance. It is vigilance in a different posture. A crab does not sleep by letting go. It sleeps by becoming harder to see and faster to react. Across reefs, mangroves, tidal flats, and deep-sea slopes, crabs enter low-activity states that function as rest without ever fully disengaging from their surroundings. Their movements slow, metabolic demand drops. Muscle tension reduces just enough to conserve energy, but the system never powers down. Sensory inputs remain live. Limbs stay positioned for leverage. Escape routes are calculated and held in reserve. The difference between survival and death is measured not in minutes or seconds, but in fractions of a second, and crabs rest accordingly. This strategy begins with habitat choice. Crabs do not rest in open space unless forced. They seek microhabitats that fracture visibility and restrict access, spaces that break the clean lines predators rely on when hunting. Under rocks, between coral rubble, inside reef pockets, beneath mangrove roots, or buried shallowly in sediment, crabs turn the environment itself into armor. These spaces do not eliminate danger. They delay it, distort it, and funnel it into predictable directions that the crab can manage. Line of sight is the enemy. Most marine predators hunt visually, scanning for outlines, movement, and contrast. A crab resting beneath an overhang removes itself from this equation. Shadows blur its shape, surfaces block approach angles. Even minimal structure forces predators to slow down, to adjust body orientation, to commit. That commitment buys the crab time, and time is everything. Resting posture matters as much as location. A crab does not sprawl when it rests, it tucks. Legs fold beneath the body, claws angle outward or forward, positioned not for attack, but for obstruction. The body presses low against the substrate, lowering its profile and stabilizing against currents or vibrations. This posture reduces energy use while preserving mechanical readiness. If danger appears, the crab does not need to reorganize itself. It only needs to move. This is where crab rest diverges sharply from mammalian sleep. Mammals enter states where responsiveness drops dramatically, reaction time slow, and sensory processing is dampened. For a crab, that would be fatal. Instead, crabs exhibit what could be described as tactical rest. Responsiveness to low-level, non-threatening stimuli decreases, allowing energy conservation, but thresholds for escape responses remain sharp. A sudden pressure change, vibration, or chemical cue triggers immediate action. The sensory systems that support this readiness are finely tuned. Crabs rely heavily on mechanoreception, detecting vibrations transmitted through water and substrate. Tiny hairs and sensory structures on their legs and body pick up disturbances long before a predator comes into view. Chemoreception adds another layer. Dissolved chemical cues from injured animals, predator waste, or disturbed sediment provide early warning signals. Even at rest, a crab is sampling the environment continuously, its nervous system filtering noise from threat. This constant sampling allows crabs to rest selectively. Not every stimulus demands reaction. Waves, distant fish movement, and background reef activity are ignored. True threats produce patterns that stand out, and when they do, the response is instantaneous. There is no groggy transition from sleep to wakefulness. There is simply motion. Escape strategies are built into the resting position. Many crabs orient themselves so that a clear retreat path lies directly behind or beside them. The moment danger is detected, they scuttle sideways into deeper cover, wedge themselves tighter into crevices, or bury rapidly into sediment. Some species are capable of explosive bursts of speed over very short distances, enough to cross the threshold from exposed to hidden. Resting without a known escape route is not rest, it is risk. Energy conservation remains a central driver of this behavior. Crabs operate with limited energy reserves and must balance foraging, growth, molting, and reproduction within narrow margins. Constant movement burns energy and increases detection. Tactical rest allows crabs to lower metabolic rates during periods of low opportunity, while remaining poised for action. This balance is especially important during daylight hours, in predator-rich environments, where inactivity is safer than foraging. Timing varies widely among crab species and habitats. Some crabs are primarily nocturnal, resting during the day and emerging under cover of darkness to feed. Others are active during the day, retreating at night when nocturnal predators dominate. Many adjust their schedules based on local conditions rather than fixed biological clocks. In areas with intense human activity, crabs may shift rest periods to avoid disturbance. In protected zones, they may adopt different patterns entirely. Rest is flexible, responsive, and situational. Molting adds another dimension of vulnerability that reshapes rest behavior. When a crab sheds its exoskeleton, it becomes temporarily soft, unable to defend itself effectively. During this period, rest becomes extreme concealment. Crabs retreat deep into shelters, reducing movement to the absolute minimum while their new shell hardens. Escape responses remain, but they are limited. Survival during molting depends almost entirely on shelter quality and timing. Rest here is not recovery. It is survival under constraint. Predator pressure explains why crabs never rest deeply. Fish crush them. Octopus dismantle them. Birds pluck them from shallow water. Mammals dig them from sediment. Even slow-moving predators can overpower a resting crab if given enough time. The only defense is not being available. Crabs do not rely on speed or strength. They rely on denial. This denial is achieved through a combination of camouflage, positioning, and readiness. Many crabs possess coloration that blends with their preferred habitats, matching sand, rock, or coral hues. During rest, this camouflage becomes more effective as movement ceases. Even species with bright colors often rest in shaded or complex environments where contrast is reduced. The goal is not invisibility, but ambiguity. Predators overlook what they cannot easily categorize. There is an irony to this strategy. Crabs are often perceived as clumsy or slow, creatures that blunder sideways across the seafloor. In reality, their behavior is precise and calculated. Resting sites are chosen deliberately. Postures are functional. Responses are rehearsed through evolutionary time. What appears simple is deeply optimized. The ecosystem logic behind crab rest is brutal in its clarity. Crabs occupy a middle tier in the food web. They are predators of smaller organisms and prey for larger ones. This position demands constant compromise. Aggressive foraging increases energy intake, but raises predation risk. Excessive hiding preserves life, but limits feeding. In the shallow coastal seas where light still reaches the bottom and seagrass meadows stretch like submerged pastures, survival does not hinge on speed or aggression. It hinges on timing. Dugongs move through this world slowly, deliberately, their massive bodies shaped not for pursuit or escape, but for endurance, efficiency, and calm persistence. Yet beneath this gentle exterior lies a hard biological constraint that defines every moment of their lives, including rest. Dugongs breathe air. That single fact governs how they eat, how they travel, how they avoid danger, and how they rest. They cannot switch off completely, because to do so would be to stop breathing. Rest for a dugong is not an extended disappearance into unconsciousness. It is a series of carefully managed pauses, woven between surfacing, grazing, and awareness of surroundings. Like other large marine mammals, dugongs must return to the surface regularly to inhale. But unlike fast-moving dolphins or wide-ranging whales, they spend most of their time in shallow coastal zones where threats are concentrated and escape options limited. Rest, therefore, is never detached from vigilance. It is controlled, fragmented, and always timed around the next breath. Dugongs are built for a life close to the bottom. Their downturned snouts are adapted for uprooting seagrass, their muscular lips and bristles guiding plants into the mouth with precision. They graze slowly, methodically, often following the same feeding paths through meadows day after day. This constant feeding is necessary because seagrass, while abundant, is low in calories. A dugong must eat for many hours to meet its energy needs. This extended grazing leaves little room for long, uninterrupted rest periods. Instead, rest must be fitted into the gaps between feeding and breathing. When a dugong rests, it often does so in short bouts, hovering just above the seabed or lying quietly on the bottom in very shallow water, where surfacing requires minimal effort. These rest periods are brief and repetitive rather than long and continuous. The animal slows its movements, heart rate drops, and muscle activity decreases, but awareness never fully fades. At regular intervals, the dugong rises slowly to the surface, exhales, inhales, and sinks back down, resuming its low activity state. This rhythm can repeat dozens of times during a rest phase, each breath resetting the clock. The inability to remain submerged indefinitely shapes dugong rest in a way that is fundamentally different from land mammals. On land, sleep often involves prolonged immobility and reduced responsiveness. In the water, for an air-breathing herbivore with limited escape speed, such a state would be dangerous. Dugongs cannot afford to lose track of their position, orientation, or surroundings. Even while resting, they must maintain enough control to surface smoothly and respond if conditions change. This need for partial alertness is amplified by where dugongs live. Seagrass meadows are coastal habitats, often close to shore, where human activity is intense. Boat traffic, fishing nets, noise and pollution are constant risks. A resting dugong in shallow water is vulnerable to collisions with vessels that may not see it until it is too late. Nets and lines pose entanglement hazards that can turn rest into suffocation. Unlike predators that can flee rapidly, dugongs rely on early detection and avoidance. Deep sleep would remove that option. Natural predators also shape dugong rest behavior, even though adults are large and formidable in size. Large sharks have been documented preying on dugongs, particularly juveniles or compromised individuals. Shallow water does not guarantee safety. In fact, it can funnel predators into predictable paths. A resting dugong must therefore choose locations carefully, favoring areas with good visibility, gentle slopes, and easy access to the surface. Resting too close to cover can limit escape routes, while resting in open water increases exposure. The balance is delicate. Location selection is one of the most important aspects of dugong rest. Calm, sheltered bays with minimal current allow the animal to maintain position with little effort. Seagrass density matters as well. Dense meadows provide food and camouflage, but can also trap debris and fishing gear. Dugongs often rest near the edges of feeding areas, where they can resume grazing quickly while maintaining awareness of open water. Rest is never far from activity. It is a pause, not a retreat. Physiologically, dugongs are capable of slowing their metabolism during rest, reducing oxygen consumption and extending the time between breaths. This ability allows them to remain submerged for several minutes at a time, but not indefinitely. The need to surface remains non-negotiable. This constraint has likely shaped the evolution of dugong sleep architecture, favoring brief, repeatable rest cycles over long, consolidated sleep. The animal gains recovery without risking suffocation. There is evidence that dugongs, like other marine mammals, may engage in unihemispheric rest, where parts of the brain reduce activity while others remain alert, although direct study is challenging due to their elusive nature. What is clear is that their behavior suggests a compromise between rest and responsiveness. Movement slow, but posture remains controlled. The body is never limp. The next breath is always anticipated. The relationship between rest and feeding is especially tight for dugongs because of their energy economics. Seagrass digestion is slow and inefficient, requiring long processing times. Rest periods may coincide with digestion, allowing the animal to conserve energy while food moves through the gut. This integration of feeding and rest reflects a broader strategy of energy optimization. Dugongs do not separate their lives into distinct phases of activity and rest. The two are interwoven. Juvenile dugongs face even greater challenges. Smaller bodies have higher relative metabolic rates and shorter dive capacities, requiring more frequent surfacing. They are also more vulnerable to predators and human threats. Young dugongs often rest closer to protective adults or in especially shallow water, where surfacing is effortless. Rest for them is even more fragmented, yet just as essential. Social factors can influence rest as well. Dugongs are generally solitary or loosely associated rather than forming tight groups, but individuals may rest in proximity when conditions allow. This loose aggregation can provide additional awareness, as multiple animals increase the chance that a threat will be detected early. However, proximity also increases competition for space and food. Dugongs balance these factors dynamically, adjusting rest locations based on local conditions. There is a quiet tension in dugong rest that mirrors their broader existence. They are large, slow, and gentle in environments increasingly dominated by fast-moving machines and human activity. Resting requires trust in timing, in the predictability of tides, in the absence of sudden disturbance. When that trust is broken, rest becomes fragmented to the point of exhaustion. Chronic disturbance forces dugongs to surface more frequently, move more often, and spend less time in low-energy states, gradually eroding their health. This vulnerability is not theoretical. Studies in heavily trafficked coastal regions have shown altered movement patterns in dugongs with reduced resting time and increased stress-related behaviors. Over time, this can affect reproduction, immune function, and survival. Rest is not optional downtime, it is maintenance. When rest is compromised, the consequences accumulate silently. From an ecological perspective, dugong rest influences seagrass ecosystems as well. Grazing paths are shaped by the rhythm of feeding and resting, creating mosaics of cropped and regrowing vegetation. These patterns affect nutrient cycling, sediment stability, and habitat structure for other species. When dugongs rest effectively, they maintain predictable grazing patterns that benefit seagrass health. Disrupted rest leads to disrupted grazing, with cascading effects through the ecosystem. The image of a resting dugong, hovering quietly above a meadow or lying gently on the seabed, can appear serene, almost peaceful. This appearance masks the constant calculations beneath. Every breath is timed, every pause is measured. The animal is never fully absent from the world around it. Rest exists in the margins between necessity and risk. There is a humility to this strategy. Dugongs do not dominate their environment. They accommodate it. They adapt to its rhythms rather than impose their own. Rest becomes an act of synchronization, aligning internal physiology with external conditions. Calm water, low disturbance, sufficient depth to breathe safely but shallow enough to surface easily. When these conditions align, rest becomes possible. In a changing ocean, those alignments are becoming harder to find. Rising coastal development, increased boat traffic, and habitat degradation compress the windows in which dugongs can rest safely. The animal responds not with aggression or flight, but with increased caution, shorter rest bouts, more frequent surfacing, greater reliance on marginal habitats. These adaptations keep individuals alive in the short term, but increase long-term strain. Understanding how dugongs rest is therefore more than a biological curiosity. It is a window into their vulnerability and resilience. It shows how tightly their lives are bound to specific environmental conditions and how easily those conditions can be disrupted. Rest for a dugong is not a luxury. It is a finely tuned behavior that sustains a slow life in a fast-changing world. When a dugong rests, it does so quietly, rising and falling with minimal motion, its massive body surprisingly delicate in its timing. There is no dramatic shutdown, no extended disappearance beneath the surface. There is only a careful sequence of breaths and pauses, repeated again and again. They rest as they live, quiet, cautious, and always on time. At the edge of rivers where fresh water loosens its grip and tides begin to argue with the land, there is a kind of stillness that does not signal safety. Mangrove roots claw into brackish mud, water thick with tannins slides past half-submerged logs, and heat hangs heavy even after sunset. In these places, rest is not the absence of threat, it is the threat waiting. Saltwater crocodiles do not retreat from danger when they stop moving, they become danger distilled. Crocodilians are among the oldest surviving predators on the planet, their basic design refined not through innovation, but through ruthless efficiency. Everything about their bodies favors ambush over pursuit, patience over speed, and control over chaos. This philosophy extends into how they rest. A crocodile does not sleep in the way a deer sleeps, or even the way a lion sleeps. It does not collapse into vulnerability. It does not surrender awareness. Instead, it enters a state that blurs the line between rest and readiness so completely that distinguishing the two becomes almost meaningless. One of the most unsettling aspects of crocodilian rest is unilateral eye closure. When a crocodile appears motionless, floating low in the water or sprawled on a riverbank, it may close one eye while keeping the other open, oriented toward whatever it perceives as relevant. This is not anecdote or folklore. Controlled experiments have shown that crocodiles adjust eye closure depending on their surroundings. When nothing of interest is present, both eyes may close briefly. When something unfamiliar, potentially threatening, or potentially edible appears, one eye remains open, tracking. This behavior suggests that sleep in crocodilians is not a uniform state applied across the entire brain. Instead, it appears to be selective, adaptive, and situational. Parts of the nervous system downshift to conserve energy, while others remain alert enough to monitor the environment. The crocodile does not decide to rest and then hope nothing happens. It negotiates rest on its own terms, retaining the option to strike at any moment. This makes sense when viewed through the crocodile's ecological identity. Saltwater crocodiles are apex predators, not because they dominate through constant aggression, but because they control space and time. They choose locations where prey must pass, where escape routes narrow, where water depth and bank structure favor explosive movement over sustained pursuit. Once positioned, they wait. Waiting is not inactivity. It is the primary hunting behavior. Rest for a crocodile is simply waiting without moving. Physiologically, crocodiles are well equipped for this. As ectothermic animals, they do not need to burn energy to maintain body temperature. Their metabolism is low compared to mammals of similar size, allowing them to remain inactive for long periods without significant energy loss. Their hearts and lungs slow, oxygen consumption drops, and muscular tension decreases just enough to conserve resources while preserving the ability to respond instantly. This metabolic economy supports extended periods of apparent rest, during which a crocodile may not move a muscle for hours. Yet beneath this stillness, sensory systems remain engaged. The eyes, even if one is closed, retain focus. The integumentary sensory organs embedded in the skin around the jaws and body detect minute changes in water pressure, allowing the crocodile to sense ripples produced by movement nearby. Chemical cues drift through the water, carrying information about blood, waste, and the presence of other animals. None of this information requires active movement to process. When a crocodile rests in water, it often positions itself so that only the eyes and nostrils break the surface. This posture minimizes visibility while maximizing sensory input. From a distance, it may resemble floating debris, a log, or nothing at all. This ambiguity is not camouflage in the traditional sense, it is misclassification. Prey do not react because they do not recognize the object as a predator. Resting on land follows a similar logic. Crocodiles bask on banks not to sleep deeply, but to regulate body temperature. Heat absorbed during basking fuels digestion and prepares muscles for explosive action. Even in this state, with eyes partially closed and jaws slack, a crocodile is not defenseless. Sudden disturbances trigger immediate response. Experiments and field observations show that crocodilians react faster to stimuli coming from the direction of an open eye, reinforcing the idea that unilateral eye closure is not random, but targeted vigilance. The implications of this behavior are chilling. A crocodile does not need to be fully awake to be dangerous. It only needs enough awareness to decide whether something is worth reacting to. This threshold is low. The cost of a false alarm is minimal. The cost of missing an opportunity or threat is potentially fatal, or worse, a lost meal that may not be replaced for weeks. This strategy aligns perfectly with the crocodile's feeding ecology. Saltwater crocodiles can go long periods without eating, but when they do feed, the payoff is enormous. A successful ambush can provide enough energy to sustain the animal for extended durations. As a result, crocodiles are under no pressure to hunt frequently. They are under pressure to hunt efficiently. Rest that maintains readiness is therefore more valuable than rest that maximizes recovery but reduces awareness. Predator-prey dynamics around crocodiles reinforce this. Many animals that share crocodile habitats, such as deer, wild pigs, fish, and even other predators, must approach water to drink, cross, or hunt. These moments are predictable. Crocodiles position themselves accordingly and then wait. During these waiting periods, which can last hours or days, the crocodile may appear inactive, but it is effectively armed the entire time. This is where the line between resting and hunting dissolves completely. For a crocodile, resting in the wrong place is failure. Resting in the right place is preparation. The animal does not need to differentiate between the two states because both serve the same end. The unilateral eye behavior adds a psychological dimension to this menace. From the outside, there is no reliable way to tell whether a crocodile is aware of you or not. One eye may be closed, the body motionless, the posture relaxed. Yet the open eye may be tracking, evaluating distance, angle, and timing. Even experienced observers can be fooled, mistaking a resting crocodile for a disengaged one. This uncertainty has real consequences. Many crocodile attacks occur not during obvious pursuit, but during moments when humans or animals misjudge a crocodile's state. Approaching too closely, assuming the animal is asleep or indifferent, removes the buffer of distance that protects against ambush. The crocodile does not need to wake up to strike, it only needs to commit. From an evolutionary perspective, this selective sleep strategy may represent a transitional state between the fully bilateral sleep of mammals and the more fragmented rest patterns seen in other reptiles and birds. Crocodilians occupy a unique position in vertebrate evolution, sharing ancestry with birds while retaining reptilian traits. The ability to rest one side of the brain more deeply while keeping the other engaged would confer obvious advantages to an ambush predator in complex environments. Environmental context further shapes how crocodiles rest. In high-risk areas, such as regions with large competing crocodiles or human disturbance, vigilance during rest increases. Eye closure becomes more selective. Postures change to favor faster movement. In quieter, safer zones, crocodiles may allow longer periods of reduced awareness. Rest is not fixed. It is adjusted constantly based on perceived risk. Temperature also plays a role. Cooler conditions slow metabolism further, extending the time a crocodile can remain inactive without cost. Warmer conditions increase metabolic demand and may require more frequent repositioning. In both cases, unilateral vigilance ensures that these adjustments do not come at the expense of safety. The crocodile's identity as an ambush predator means that even rest reinforces its threat profile. Muscles remain primed for explosive movement. Jaws, though relaxed, can close with devastating speed. The tail, coiled beneath the surface, is ready to propel the body forward in a sudden surge. Nothing about the animal's resting state removes its capacity to kill. There is a grim efficiency to this design. Most predators must choose between resting and hunting. Crocodiles do not. Their resting posture is their hunting posture. Their vigilance during rest is the same vigilance required for ambush. Energy conservation and predatory readiness are not competing priorities. They are aligned. This alignment is what makes crocodiles so enduring and so dangerous. They do not need to evolve complex strategies to manage vulnerability during sleep. They simply never fully become vulnerable. Rest is negotiated, partial, and reversible. For prey animals, this creates a landscape of constant risk. The presence of a crocodile changes behavior even when the animal appears inactive. Drinking patterns shift, crossing points are avoided, vigilance increases. The crocodile exerts influence not through movement, but through potential. Its rest state still shapes the ecosystem. Even after dark, when visibility drops and many predators rely on stealth, crocodiles retain their advantage. Their sensory systems are not dependent on light, and their resting vigilance remains effective. Night does not bring safety. It brings uncertainty. In human imagination, sleep is associated with innocence, vulnerability, and peace. In crocodiles, sleep, if it can be called that, is something else entirely. It is conditional, it is armed, it is indistinguishable from intent. The most unsettling truth about a saltwater crocodile is not its size, its bite force, or its ancient lineage. It is the fact that you cannot reliably tell when it is offline. The cues we use to assess safety in other animals do not apply. Closed eyes do not mean disengagement. Stillness does not mean rest. With crocodiles, even the quiet moments are dangerous. With crocodiles, sleeping can still look like hunting.